Everybody, welcome to the special council meeting for October 4th, 2023. I've called the meeting to order. We'll skip roll call.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Castle.
Here.
Councilmember Spear.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Neal.
Present.
Councilmember Mortensen.
Here.
All right, next item, audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the council on any item that's not on an agenda or of a public hearing? Seeing none. Next item, approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, item number 1 under new business, council interviews for Ward 2 vacancy applications. The first interview that we have for this evening is Mr. Brett Bloom, and we'll do the standard format. I'll start off the first question. We'll go around. If there's any additional question you would like to ask that's not on here, please make sure you ask it to all the candidates. So if you're ready, sir, or anybody
May I
else?
ask a clarifying question? Thank you. Are we asking all questions? Like in order, are we each picking one question?
I say we just ask the question in order. I'll start with 1, 2, 3.
That sounds great.
And work its way back.
Yep, thanks for the
Any
clarity.
question you'd like to ask, or anybody and all the other candidates? Sound good?
That sounds perfect.
All right, sounds good. Oh, no, we gotta keep it up. It's public hearing.
Oh.
So, it's public. All right, Mr. Bloom, well, thank you very much for coming this evening for your interview. We already know each other. Mark Clark, the mayor. See you all the time at the Water and Sewer Board. The first question I'm going to ask you is pretty simple. It's in 2 minutes or less. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in being on the Evans City Council.
Okay, well, I've had 30 plus years in municipal government. I'm currently the Public Works Director and Code Enforcement Officer for Garden City. I've been a police officer for Windsor, a fleet manager for Windsor. I have been a Public Works Director now, and in the past, I've been a town administrator and an assistant town administrator. I have a I used to possess a water and wastewater license. I am with the Water and Sewer Board here in Evans, and I've developed land here in Weld County for a private person. I've lived here in Evans for almost 16 years.
Great.
Great. Thank you very much.
Brett, as a council member, you are required to attend a number of meetings and events that generally occur during personal time. Are you willing to make the time commitment and effort it takes to serve as a council member?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, sir.
Well, actually, I think that you answered this question. I guess I'll ask the question again, but you answered it. So,
Great.
but the next question does say, how does your background prepare you for serving as a city council member, and what experience do you have involving city government? So,
Well, like I say, being a town administrator and assistant administrator, I've attended a lot of board meetings over the several years that I've worked at in those positions. I understand city government pretty well for all the years that I've been in all different sides of or occupations in city government. And I have had good relations with town board members and city council members. Really am interested in supporting the community and being a city council member.
thank you.
For the citizens and having open ears.
Fred, question board?
In your own words, tell us what you think the role of government should be to its residents, and how do you see your role as a city council member should you be selected?
Well, city council, they set policies for the operations of city government. They give the direction to the city manager. They have public hearings and meetings on different issues. Approve new ordinances that become law and city code. They pass resolutions for things like contracts and IGAs. Do an annual budget every year. They ensure the city meets all the requirements that were established in legislation. They hire, and if needed, fire the city manager, town attorney, sometimes the judge, sometimes the police chiefs. I don't know if that happens here. An auditor, oversee the operations of the city. Did that answer your question?
What are the most important current and future issues facing the city of Evans? And do you have any specific issues you would like to address?
Well, the biggest issue right now, I know, being on the water and sewer board, that's a big issue with the sewer system, or the plant. The infrastructure that we have here, I think, is moving forward pretty good. I guess probably maybe my concerns would be maybe streets, how the city's gonna afford to, get the streets, which is one of your biggest infrastructures.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I'm just finishing up writing. All right. What is the one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans?
Well, the one thing I wouldn't change is it seems like we've got a lot of good department heads here right now, and I am familiar with most of them, and have communicated with them, and I wouldn't want to see any of that change unless there's something that I haven't seen not working here or being a council member. That would be the one thing, because I think you got a pretty good team here working for the city.
Great, thank you.
How do you handle conflicts between two opposing viewpoints?
Pardon me?
How do you handle conflict between two opposing viewpoints?
Well, it's that can be a touchy situation. You've got to stay calm. You try to de-escalate the situation in a timely manner, but you got to be peaceful about it so it doesn't escalate into something big. Try to use the words that calm people.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's hard.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Bloom, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself, just in case you didn't read this. I am Laura Spear from Ward 1. I feel really bad about not introducing myself the first round. So, and I know we've seen each other before, but
Yes.
just to refresh. So, my next, why do I get this question all the time? It's the longest. So, the council makes decisions concerning liquor licenses, rezoning, and budget issues, to name a few. At times, the decision made may generate controversy or ill will. How do you come to terms with this, and how do you reach a decision that you are comfortable with?
Well, Are you asking if I don't like the decision, or if the public doesn't like the decision?
I think it's more if the public doesn't like the decision, and it's a controversial decision that we've made. For example, last year, we did have to revoke a business license that involved liquor, and the family was a little upset about it, and so that was very stressful, I think, for all of us. So I'm asking how you would handle that situation.
I would handle it with what the law says, and if they violated the liquor laws or whatever business it might be, if they violated some laws, I would have to let them know what the law really reads, and get them to understand that you can't do things against the law, or you're gonna lose your business license.
And I think the second part, and obviously if you're on council, the second part of that is, you would have to feel comfortable doing that at some times, and wondering if you would feel comfortable doing that at some times.
I've had to do it being a code enforcement officer, and I kind of have to take care of all the business licenses a little bit down in Garden City, and we have some pretty rough bars down there. And I've had to deal with it, and I'm comfortable with it. I don't like doing it, but
Right.
I'm comfortable doing it because if, like I say, if they're doing something that's not within the law, you've got to stand up to them. And I, being a police officer at one time in my life, you get people that don't like what you gave them a ticket for, and you have to kind of explain to them. They try to blame it on you, the cop, that they just gave me a ticket. You ruined my life or something like that. If they got a DUI or something, and it's like, you know what? I didn't do it to you. You're the one that broke the law. And you gotta be able to stand up peacefully and let them know that that's the way it is.
Thank you.
Well, Brett, I'm Fred, and I get the same question every time too. How would you handle a relationship with a council member, resident, or staff member that you do not agree or get along with?
Well, that one is a tough one, but you've got to be able to communicate and try to understand the way they see things, and hopefully explain to them to see how you feel about it, and try to get past that without anybody being angry at each other. And that's very important when it comes to, say, a city council. If you don't like each other, you're just going to butt heads, and it's going to make things harder to work together. And when it comes to citizens and stuff like that, it's the same thing. You just got to let them know how your feelings are, or how you see things, and try to understand how they see things.
Where do you see the city of Evans in a few years, and how would you like to see the city grow?
Well, I see the city of Evans doing really well right now. Starting to get, just like quick trips down here coming in. That's going to be a good revenue generator. And I think what I've heard is other things are starting to happen. And I think in a few years, the city of Evans is going to be doing a lot better than they have in the past. And I hope it continues to grow. And I know there's more housing going in, and I hope that all goes well, and we have enough water supply all these new homes going in. Water's a big issue, and hopefully we get more businesses to generate the revenue.
Thank you.
All right, and last question for you. Do you have any final questions for the council?
Well, I did write down a few things that I thought I would ask you. How active is the city council with the community? Are you out and about? How much volunteer time do you do? That type of thing.
Sure. I would say I personally am out and about quite a bit, talking with people, you know, as being the mayor. I try to attend as many events as I can, like the chamber after hours events. I try to go to some of the ribbon cutting meetings. I also sit on the North Front Range MPO and a couple other commissions as well outside of the city that we are involved in. So I would say I'm pretty active, but you know, that's just me, and that's just my role as mayor. So I have to feel that I have to be a lot more active in the community. But I mean,
think it's individual.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's individual as well. I mean, you get what you put into it. I mean, the more you're out there in public and you know talking to people and you know telling them about the great things that are going on in the city and encouraging you to come to not only council meetings but come do business in Evans. That not only looks great on you as a council member, that also reflects great on the city. And we're trying to encourage people to come here as well. But it's really all individualized as well. So.
Although I think we get assigned different committees. Yep. You know, I'm on the Heritage Day Committee, I think, and so is Tammy.
On
I think
CTAB.
you're doing CTAB with
Yep.
the city of Greeley. I don't know, we have someone going to the Citizens Police Academy. And then we kind of try to spread it out, and there's certain people that have a little bit more time than other people. So we take that into consideration, but I think the big thing is we try to show up as a positive influence from the city council. I mean, we're making sure that we are as visible as to many of the open houses and the ribbon cuttings as we can, so that the community knows that we're involved. But if you don't have the time for that, then some of the other council members do step up and do that. If you have the time for that, then that's fantastic.
Very important to have an open ear and listen to the concerns and
Absolutely.
wants and needs of the citizens, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think that is important too, is being neighborly, right? Knowing if people reach out to you, you're responding, whether it be via email or phone, that a lot of times we're not addressing their concerns, but we know who to get their concerns to, and that really matters to individuals. But I think what's really great is, you know, getting out in your neighborhood, in your ward, and getting to know people. That probably helps the most, that they know, oh, I can call Amanda or email her and she can help with things. That part's really important as well.
Yes, don't put your-
Anybody else have anything to add to that?
That's where my phone number is.
Get to them directly if they expressed a concern or called in or emailed, and directly in person. I've always tried to do things like that. And I've walked the boards in the cities and talked to people in the past, so it's very time consuming to do it that way, but
Yeah.
it's people appreciate it more.
It helps when you work and live in your ward. So it makes it easier to talk to people sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's where, you know, going to the activities or ribbon cuttings, I can talk to other people.
Yeah.
So that really does help. But I mean, I seriously hear a lot from my tenants and the neighbors and everything. So it helps. I probably have it easiest living and working in my ward, maybe. Unless you're retired and living in your ward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So, but you learn a lot.
I think one of the biggest things that you'll probably, you know, if you you know, if you're on council, as, you know, as Councilmember Spear pointed out, is we'll ask you to probably sit on one of the commissions, where it's the Heritage Day Committee, you know, the Finance Committee, you know, the CPAC meeting, you know, whatever, you know, we try to usually switch the roles out like every year, every 2 years. That way that we're getting some fresh people in those seats to, you know, and everything. So you'll have those opportunities to possibly serve in one of those capacities if you know, are fortunate enough to be selected. And then, you know, anything outside, you know, ribbon cuttings, as it was mentioned, you know, if you can attend those. Business after hours, usually we have a committee that's a couple of council members that are assigned that, but we still try to make it, even though that's not we still go. You know, just to have the, yeah, so, yeah. You know, so it's really depends on what you want to get out of it and how much effort you want to put into it, but.
Yeah. Sounds good. How often do you guys meet? It's twice a month?
Yeah, the first and third Tuesday of the month, unless, of course, we have a special council meeting or a retreat that we wind up having. You know, we'll usually try to coordinate with everybody on council and say, hey, is there a date or time that works for us to use so we can have like a budget retreat or a council retreat with just staff to kind of go over goals and priorities and what we like to see, or we have the master plan or, you know, comprehensive plan or something that we're working on that will take more time, you know, than just coming twice a week or twice a month to a council meeting. We'll try to set up a day or a half day to where we can go in and sit down as a council and,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. You meet at 7 o'clock?
Our work sessions depend. So we have a work session always before council meeting, usually anywhere between from 5 to 6:30. Sometimes we don't. So, and then regular council meeting starts at 5. And then we also are part of, 7, excuse me. And then we have our ERA meeting sometimes that we have when needed, which will usually immediately follow a council meeting. So however long the council meeting takes, then we may jump into that, which those are kind of infrequent, or maybe once a quarter. It just kind of depends on if there's anything on that. But that's kind of how it works for us. So expect, you know, on a council meeting day, possible start time as early as 5, or not have a work session than just at 7 o'clock regular council meeting.
Your board packets come early enough so you get a good chance?
They do. Staff does a great job of getting them out to us at least Friday.
Yep.
What's that? Yep, they email it to us. Our packet's all in there, everything for us to review. They try to usually get out to us before close of business day on Friday. If they get it out earlier, it's great, but yep, it's all in there online for us.
And you get
And you get an
they
iPad.
give you an iPad.
Yeah, so you'll have an iPad if you're, you know.
Well, I think that's all the questions I had.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you. We have a few more interviews to do this evening. After we're done with all the interviews, we'll have a council discussion, and then expect sometime a phone call from me either way to let you know what our decision was.
All right.
All right.
Sounds great.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Bloom. Appreciate it.
Great seeing you.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry I was a little late.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes, thanks for your patience.
I like your outfit. You look very
Oh,
share.
Steve.
I needed new clothes.
I didn't know King
It just keep-
Harold.
It's here, I'm not gaining
Oh,
weight,
sorry.
it's just shifting.
I didn't know that.
I know. For me, it's like some days I feel like I'm thin, and some days I'm like, oh Lord.
Crazy. I'm like, this one,
Alright.
I woke up today,
You guys ready for?
This one I was
I
like,
think so.
totes wearing my swoopy shirt.
I love that shirt. Love
She
it.
in.
Yeah, it's so good.
Amanda.
Huh? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
water's there if you're thirsty.
Yeah.
Where's Emily?
Did she text you earlier?
Yeah, she texted me.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't. She called me earlier and said she probably wasn't gonna make it, but then she's like, I'll text you just.
Down in no man's land.
Sorry. Just hand sanitizer.
We have one. I may do.
Well, good evening. Thank you for being here this evening. We have a few questions here, 11 total, that will each of us will go around the room and ask, and then we'll give you an opportunity at the end to ask any questions of us that you have any. First of all, I know we've met before, but just a formal introduction. Mark Clark, I'm the mayor, and I'm just going to ask. I'm going to start with the first question. It's pretty easy. It's in 2 minutes or less. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in being on the Evans City Council.
Well, right off the bat, I'm Mark LeClaire. I live at the Ridge at Prairie View, and I am currently the vice chair for the Planning Commission, and I'm also the chair of the Evans Citizens Police Advisory Committee. I've been serving parts of Evans for several years, heading up the National Night Out in our neighborhood and hosting that. I am interested in helping out with City Council because I've got a heart for the city. They've been pretty good to me, and I'd like to give back. I've got a fairly good idea of what goes on around here. Just with my associations with the different groups I mentioned. I am married. I have a wife who's from Indonesia. I've got 2 children, a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. In Evans since 2008.
Great, thank you.
Mr. LeClaire, I'm Amanda Castle. I'm the mayor pro tem. I too have a 12-year-old at home right now who told me the other day that he was a teenager, and I was like, oh, I have a few months for that. So as a council member, you are required to attend a number of meetings and events that really occur during your personal time. Are you willing to make the time commitment and effort that it takes to serve on city council?
Yes.
Hi there, I'm Laura Spear. I'm from Ward 1. And my question is, how does your background prepare you for serving as a city council member? And what experience do you have involving city government? I know you've touched on it a little bit in your first answer, but if you could expand or if you care to.
Well, my history is I've got experience in project management and service delivery management. I served on the board of our neighborhood HOA for several years. I have been on the CPAC since I believe 2018, and I've been on the Planning Commission about 3 years now. I've helped go over some of the I don't want to call it bylaws, the city code. We've been working on that for the last year and a half or so, so I'm familiar with that. And I didn't mention I'm also on the Board of Appeals for the Planning Commission. So I think a lot of what I've done has given me a good feel for the actual area. I know different projects that are going on and what we're expecting. I believe I have a basic understanding of the vision of the city manager for the city, where we're heading. I like what's going on with that. I like the idea of the beautification of the city and the work we're doing on the I-85 corridor. I think we've got a ways to go on that. One of my personal hopes is that we get rid of the blight and not just turn it into a complete industrial area. I'm hoping we have some businesses there that are going to be used by the general public and not just the industrial sector.
Thank you.
In your own words, tell us what you think the role of government should be to its residents, and how do you see your role as a city council member should you be selected?
Well, I think that the role of council member, you should be serving the community as well as overseeing changes. I think it's important that we are able to listen to the community and also outreach to the different sectors of the community, some of the underrepresented members and populations. That's something that's close to my heart. Being in a mixed marriage, I like to see everybody have a chance to say what they want for their community. So, yeah.
What are the most important current and future issues facing the city of Evans? And do you have any specific issues you would like to address?
I've got a heart for what's going on with the police station. I'm interested in seeing that move forward. It's been a long time that we've needed a bigger building. I'm also interested in helping get the police department back up to full census. I mean, we're down to, I believe, 2/3 of our authorized force, and I'd like to see that help out the guys and women because they're burning out. So, as I mentioned, I'd like to see some of the cleanup of the I-85 corridor. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the new development.
Liberty
I
Draw?
should really know the name of this because I helped approve it.
Liberty Draw?
Larry Draw?
Yes, Liberty Draw. I drove by that this morning thinking, you got to remember that name. And here we are. I have a concern for the growth without infrastructure. I think it's really important that we have enough water to go around and not grow so fast that we can't keep up with the basic needs of what we're building. I'd like to see more parks, which I know we're building a nice one over there on Arrowhead. I'd like to see more civic or entertainment venues like amphitheaters, and that's something I've talked about with the planning commission before. It's like it'd be nice to see that when we were talking with heirs, and it's like that would be nice to have something like they have in St. Michael's. I think that would be good for the city. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I do want to help make some of that happen. And I think my background is I'm a moderate. I think I can better represent the community by being in the middle and not to one extreme or the other.
Great.
Thank you.
Liberty Draw is having, if you're not aware, is having an open house on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Saturday or Friday?
10-1.
Okay, that's good to know. I've driven through there a few times to see what's going on. It's going up fast, which I like seeing.
Yeah. I drove by it this morning too, and I was like, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, hello.
Approved
boys
that
already picked
less
out their
than
houses.
3 months ago, and
Right.
it's moving around.
It is.
Yeah.
A lot better than what happened in my neighborhood where the Ridge was at half build out for years. And even now, we're not at full build out, but we get about 10 houses a year. And it's like Liberty Draw has just almost got that many foundations poured already.
When I first moved there, it was mostly field.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've seen it. I'm just like, whoa, hello. They've taken their time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
All right, the next question I have for you is, what is the one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans?
Most likely, the idea of home rule and that I've appreciated that we've got city managers that come to the committees with ideas and say, this is what we recommend, and then we get to discuss it and decide if we are on board with that. But I appreciate that as home rule, and what we've got going now is we have professionals guiding us on it, so it's not just all opinion and rampant desire. So I think it's good to be held to the fire with, this is our policy, and yeah, that's about where I stand on that.
Great, thank you.
How do you handle conflicts between two opposing viewpoints?
I tend to listen to both and listen to the passion of each individual party. I try not to get emotionally involved with that. I just try to use reason, and I also fall back on what the code is. I mean, if you've got city codes mandating that this is what happens, that's where my opinion lies. Is like, okay, you may want this and you may want this, but this is what code allows, and that's what I'd base my judgment on.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, well, bear with me, this is a lengthy one. The council makes decisions concerning liquor licenses, rezoning, and budget issues, to name a few. At times, the decision being made may generate controversy or ill will. How do you come to terms with this, and how do you reach a decision that you are comfortable with?
Again, I go back to what city code allows. I use that as the benchmark. I don't believe I should have my own personal opinion wrapped up in that. It wouldn't be fair. So I go strictly by what is allowable and make decisions from that. I would, in certain cases for certain businesses, I may be against that, but that's why you have a team that votes. Is it keeps it honest, it keeps it equitable, and I'm pretty, like I said, I'm a moderate. I kind of look at the middle on a lot of this. I don't let political ideology guide me in my opinions. As much as I can. I mean, I've got strong feelings about certain things, but I also believe that kind of like, for want of a better term, keep your laws off my body. If there's something that is allowable and legal, it's not my job to legislate or coerce a certain outcome. I just... I feel strongly about that we need equity. We need to follow what our guidelines are. And certain businesses, I think, have to be really thought carefully about and brought to committee. But if there's no apparent oncoming damage to the city, it bears consideration.
How would you handle a relationship with a council member, resident, or staff member that you do not agree or get along with?
Well, I wouldn't argue with them. I know that for sure. I'd be respectful, and I'd be willing to state my opinion on something in council. I would not speak of it outside of council or to the general public. I wouldn't talk with my friends about it. I would not do anything that I think would bring the term I'm looking for is I wouldn't slander anybody. I wouldn't want to bring any disrespect to the office. if I wouldn't agree with somebody in the meeting, I think I would be able to voice my opinion as everybody else would, and then it goes to vote. And whatever the outcome of the vote is, I'm willing to live with it. I mean, politically, there's been people in our upper government that I haven't agreed with, but I believe in our system. I believe that our basic form of government is thoughtfully made, and it has checks and balances, and I am willing to go along with what the majority wants.
Thank you.
Where do you see the city of Evans in a few years, and how would you like to see the city grow?
Well, I really believe with the growth that's already happening, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to have a lot more businesses, a lot more houses. I'm hoping for a good mix of affordable housing as well as mid-range housing. I don't know that our infrastructure currently supports executive housing or estates, so I don't want to push for that. I think that's more the if a company decides they want to build something and it passes muster with us, let them do what they're going to do as long as it follows our rules. Excuse me. I would like to see. I'd like to see things made a little bit more upscale, though, even though I'm not looking for estates or huge sprawling fields in one house. I would like to see not just affordable housing. I'd like to see an even mix, and I'd also like to see those developments go up in a way that's not going to be hurting the profits of the general homeowner. So I'm not really into the idea of blatant mixed use where you have mobile homes right next to a 3-story house with 2,000 square feet. And I'd like to see that compartmentalized, but I'd like to make sure that we bring in people that are going to be happy to be here and not look at it as a bedroom town or as a place that's just like, oh, that's lower class, that's for the poor people, and we're gonna keep moving out to Johnstown or up to Windsor. I'd like to see more people here because I think we've got good access to the 34 corridor going straight up to the mountains. I think we've got a lot of potential around here. I mean, we're not that far off from being part of the mega city that goes from Cheyenne all the way down to Colorado Springs. I was out in Kersey last night and saw some of the things that are going on out there as far as the schools, and it's like, I'd like to see us have more of the modern facilities. And I think there's a need for more schools in the area as we grow. I think we also need to have schools that are going to serve the entire community, not just middle class Caucasians. I want to see something that's going to serve the Hispanic community as well as the greater immigrant community from, we've got people in our area from Somalia and from Myanmar, and I think the Greeley area has 39 different ethnicities now. I think we would be in a good position to embrace some of that too.
Thank you.
All right, last question. Do you have any final questions for the council?
What was mentioned about the meetings, I understand that there's 2 meetings a month, but I've heard rumors that there's committees that we also would be part of. Wondering how often a week we're expected to be in committees and.
Sure. So yes, that is correct. We meet on the first and third Tuesday of each month, unless of course we have to hold a special meeting for, interviews such as this, or we do a budget retreat or some type of city council retreat where we just want to, discuss budget issues or, our master plans or, goals for the city, that would take a lot longer than just holding several work sessions throughout the year. So there will be occasions where we hold those type of special meetings or retreats. There are different committees, obviously, if you're on the CPAC there. We also have a budget and finance committee and a heritage day committee. And we have, the North Front Range MPO, the 85 Coalition. We have various different commissions that some of the council members sit on. Like, for example, Councilmember Bortonson and Spear are on the Heritage Day Committee. Councilmember Johnson, who's not here, she's on the Budget and Finance Committee. Fred from the CPAC meeting. I sit on a couple other various boards as well. So what we try to do is we try to get you one that you can. We would like you to at least participate in one. Usually what that will best work for you. How often they meet is really depends on, what they have going on. As we approach the Heritage Day Committee days, they usually have a little bit more frequently meetings. What would you say, Laura, Tammy, once a month? Maybe?
Just once a month.
Once a month. The Budget Finance Committee is about once a month. CPAC, obviously. So they're not very frequent unless there's some special thing that needs to come up and maybe needs to be addressed, but usually once a month. I know Councilmember Whartonson, she's on the chamber after hours, so she will attend sometimes those after hour business events. None of us are on there. We used to have to, where we're filling this seat, he was also part of that. We still show up to those events and everything. So ribbon cuttings, exactly. So it's really what you want to put into it is what you're going to get out of it. We encourage you definitely to be involved and be out in the community and talking to your constituents. But, really that's going to be dependent on you. But we would definitely probably put you on at least a committee, at least one of them here for the council, if not two, if you have more time and would like to serve.
Those committees meet in the same time frame as the regular city council meetings?
No, they meet at various times. Usually the staff, when you get introduced to the committee, they will usually reach out and try to find a common time that will work for everybody, and they will try to work around schedules. Sometimes it doesn't always work out, and we completely understand if you have, jobs. Most all of us all have jobs, and sometimes just can't make it everything, but they try to really do work around your schedule as the best they can. The
reason I ask is I do have a full-time job with North Range, and I also have, I pick up my kids every day and drive them home. I want to make sure they're not hoofing it home from University and Frontier. So.
Yeah. And I'll say to that point, like I sit on CTAB and they do meet on Mondays, but it's remote. And same thing, I pick up my boys on Monday. So those meetings normally go through that time, but oftentimes I'm listening for most of it. And even if I need to speak, I'm on via Zoom. So I can still be on the meeting. Normally I'm visible except for that, 20 minutes I'm grabbing them, but same thing, that there's some flexibility in that. And then other things where you're more involved, it really is based on what you can and cannot do. So when I sat on the finance committee, staff would work with me and say, okay, what works? And I actually don't work in the Greeley-Evans area. So they did a great job making sure there was at least a Zoom connection if we needed, so they could share documents. We could walk through things that way. So to Mayor Clark's point, there's a lot of flexibility with your schedule on that.
And from CPAC, we have the district attorney who Zooms in. That's also arranged with this day and age. Hey, I can't make it in person, but hey, I have a sick child or whatever. I'll hop on Zoom. Or you could say, hey, I can't make it, and they'll call you up and backfill you, or find some time that will work with you and kind of meet on with you one-on-one if they can. So they try to be as flexible as they can, but we all understand life
Little
happens.
Less flexibility with actually attending the council meetings, so.
Correct. Mhm.
There is, bylaws in the, home rule charter on how many absences you can have, but we do offer, the Zoom in on there, that too. If it's a situation where you have a sick kid or you're,
I'm not really concerned about that end of things because I'm assuming that most of the meetings start at around 5:30 to 6. My work hours are like 6:30 to 3:30 every day. I pick up the kids at their school half an hour later and run them home. I'm free after that, so.
So work sessions usually before the city council meeting will not start any earlier than 5 p.m. So we'll usually, the earliest is 5 p.m. for a work session. City council meeting starts at 7. I mean, there might be times where the work session starts later, or we may not have one. That's not as frequent as not having one, but usually it's between 5 to 7. We'll have a work session somewhere in there, and then
occasionally we do have like a Saturday retreat.
Right, that's what I was saying.
And again, it's trying to get the most of us there as possible, so we kind of coordinate time.
One or two of those for the, when planning commission met,
right.
talking about city code and I don't have a problem with that. I'm pretty good about getting to all the meetings. I think I missed 2 of the, planning commission meetings in the last 3 years, so.
Okay.
Well, I'm pretty good about showing up.
Great. Wonderful. Any other additional questions?
No,
All
I
right.
think that's it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. We have a couple more interviews to do this evening, and tomorrow, sometime throughout the day, I will be making phone calls, letting the candidates know either way. But we really appreciate your time and being here this evening.
Thank you.
Switch my seat.
What'd you say?
Okay, my seat's sinking.
Oh, no.
I think that's what Ally had.
Going lower and lower.
Right. What's happening?
Anybody need a minute? Are we good?
No, I'm good right now.
I'll need one after this one.
Yeah, are they ready?
Yeah.
You missed the whole with that CTAP because I was on it for like 3 years and going to the meetings down at, it
Yes.
was like the rec center,
Mm-hmm.
and you never knew what door was gonna be open or where the meetings were at. And of course, the front desk people didn't know either. It was
Now,
just-
I would say there's a majority of people are online. The Greenleaf staff are there, and then I can't remember
Hello.
Hey,
his name. The gentleman.
All right.
hot seat. Hey,
He's
what do you
always-
know? Mine was sinking, so I had to switch.
Switch out chairs?
Yes.
Very beneficial.
So thank you for being here this evening. Really appreciate it. We're going to go around the room. We'll have a total of about 11 questions to ask you. And if you're ready, we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, I'm
And
ready.
just as a formal introduction, I know we know each other. My name's Mark Clark. I'm the mayor. And the first question I have for you is, in 2 minutes or less, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in being on the Evans City Council.
Well, I'm Jeff Crabtree. I'm a successful entrepreneur here in Greeley, Evans. I've lived here for 25 years. I was on the Evans Economic Advisory Council. I have a economics business background, and I love my city. It's kind of fun to watch it grow and what's happening. Other reasons why, before becoming an entrepreneur, I worked for the Western region of Comcast as a financial advisor or financial analyst. We're a team of 4 that run budgetary practices and made sure that we were able to operate the Western Division profitably. And did that for 4 years after I graduated UNC, and then went into my own little world of entrepreneurship, hence the shorts.
That's hilarious.
Great, thank
Good
you.
to be the boss.
It's good to be the boss sometimes.
All right.
Do I use up my 2 minutes, or do I have more? I'm just kidding.
And okay, great. Jeff, Amanda Castle, Mayor Pro Tem, also a bear, also a big financial person. So, you know, you're just saying all the time, go Bears. So, As a council member, you're required to attend a number of meetings and events that take place during your personal time. Are you willing to make the time commitment and effort it takes to serve as a council member?
Of course, that's why I'm here. As an entrepreneur, my time's pretty valuable, so I'd like to make sure that as I'm getting a little bit older, that my city's growing of 25 years the way I'd like to see it grow. I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. I think there's some things on the table that we can still grab, but I do like what we're doing. There's some good horizons, or good possible future horizons that we can cross together, but yes.
All right, so you've already touched on it a little bit, but how does your background prepare you for serving as a city council member? And what experience do you have involving city government?
Well, I'm not a politician, so this is all new to me. I do know how to run a business, and I know how to communicate professionally with other business and the public in general. I mean, as what I do in my world, we're face-to-face on a regular basis with like businesses, new businesses, and the public, and making sure that we have that successful communication is important. My educational background and my financial background, I think, would add value to the current team.
And my apologies, I'm Laura Spear from Ward 1.
Meet you, Laura. I think I'm in Ward 3.
2.
I'm in one of those 3 wards. I know I lived over there, and now I live over there.
But now we're gonna check to be sure.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Mark's like, I know where you live.
Yeah.
It's 2.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Well, I'm Fred Neal. In your own words, tell us what you think the role of government should be to its residents, and how do you see your role as a city council member should you be selected?
Okay, so the role of city council is to, in my own interpretation, manage loosely the governing system that runs our city. We're designed to look at budgetary, make sure that we're operating within a cash flow positive system. We're able to retain quality labor, making sure that we're kind of guiding the wagon, so to speak, through the system to make sure that the people that we do have are retained or have a comfortable lifestyle financially, as well as are happy in their roles. I think that our role in council to the average consumer is they need a voice to really communicate through a channel to then filter that into a larger system of the city. The city is its own is a complicated network, a lot of cogs moving, and one of our positions is to make sure that those cogs are well oiled and greased, and if there's something that needs to come up, the city manager doesn't need to hear from Bob or Jane. They need to come to us and kind of filter through that information to then sit it into the system. Fred, did I nail it? Kind of what you were looking for?
Well, I hope everybody got the right information out of it.
If I need to clarify, let me know.
Tammy Mortensen, Ward 2. And what are the most important current and future issues facing the city that you see? And then do you have any specific ones you would like to address?
So current and future, one of the things that I've always seen that draws a lot of concern as a resident of Evans is we're not getting as much tax revenue as I think that we could. I see us, and I look from a very high level, looking at other municipalities, and I see that there's some that have just crushed it and some of them that have become sleeper communities. And as an economist, I'm concerned that as in the long term, if we don't capture that revenue, we will lose the cash flow that we need to be successful. And if we capture it correctly and get an In-N-Out burger, we get not just
I want White Castle now.
I drive past one
but
every day.
those type
so-
of, I really feel that, and it's been bothering me for a decade, that, you know, Evans I've watched grow successfully. We've done the right things. We finally have a roundabout, which I love.
Thank you.
Being a world traveler, I've just coming back from Aruba. That's all it is roundabouts. I love them. We need a faster car though. But no, I'm just kidding. I love what the city's doing, but my biggest concern is that we could potentially start eroding away at our own purse if we don't get more businesses into the system, generating that tax revenue to really grow what we need. And eventually, in the very long term, we would no longer be able to retain the necessary assets to run the city. And we become just a sleeper town that has a very small little governing body, and we're really missing some significant potential.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, next question. What is the one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans?
I wouldn't lose our identity. I feel that Evans still has the family feel. It's safe. We don't have a large migration population of homeless. We have a great infrastructure of service. I love Evans cleanup days. I love the shredding at Sam's. I really like how you can walk across our city and know people. I think we've done a really good job supplying necessary needs to our community. And I don't want us to lose that focus. I don't want us to become a Johnstown where it's one and the other chasing the revenue dollar. I want to retain that. I'd want the city to retain that family feel.
Jeff, how do you handle conflict between two opposing viewpoints?
Between two opposing companies?
Viewpoints.
Well, the first thing is communication, and you have to be able to look at the other perspective. If you are narrow-minded and cannot accept that, that's usually the first catalyst to a confrontation. It doesn't necessarily mean that the person is correct or that you're correct, but you need to be able to be subjective and look through both channels and look through both lenses. No head in the sand. No blinders on.
If I take my contacts out, I can't see it.
But you're still engaging, but your ears are still working. And that's the important part as well.
Yes.
All right, well, the council makes decisions concerning liquor licenses, rezoning, and budget issues, to name some of the few things that we do. At times, the decisions being made may generate controversy or ill will. How do you come to terms with this, and how do you reach a decision that you are comfortable with?
Well, I'm assuming that the controversy would come from fellow residents for actions that council's made a decision to do, correct? Is that the question?
Well,
Kind
you
of.
can answer it that way.
Okay.
That's fine. We sometimes have to, and the example that I use is that, like previously this year, we had to revoke a liquor license.
Sure.
And the people were a little upset about that. So that was kind of a hard thing for us to do. And so how would you handle that and come to terms with having to do that, and maybe getting some repercussion from the people that were involved with that?
Well, no municipality that I've ever encountered is out to burn you. There are lots of leeway and forgiveness, and it's usually the last-ditch effort before a municipality really has to step in and say something. You need to pull the Band-Aid off. if policies and procedures aren't being followed, there's a reason why there's policies and procedures, and it's to keep things safeguarded. In your liquor example, you have to pay your taxes, you have to not sell to minors, and you have to abide by the state governing laws as well as the municipality laws. And if you can't do that, it's not like we're going in, or you went in, if anyone went in with their guns blazing and said, give me your liquor license, you're done. There was, I'm sure, a mountain of paperwork to follow up with and really try to correct the situation. Feelings get hurt. Life goes on. You're not out to be a bad guy, but we also have to do our jobs. And if we can't do our jobs professionally, then we're failing.
How would you handle a relationship with a council member, resident, or staff member that you do not agree or get along with?
We're here to do business, and we're here to conclude to business. So it's kind of odd. You can't just like everyone, but you have to communicate and work along with them. You need to put that aside and get the job completed. In my day-to-day life, there's people that I run into that I just wish I never saw again. But I have a job to do, and we have to communicate, regardless if it's on the federal level or a local consumer level. You just have to pony up and bootstrap it and make it happen. And no matter how challenging it is, and there's going to be challenging times, but you have to just work through it, and hopefully that you have a strong network of support behind you. And if you're wrong, it's okay to be wrong. Just own it and move on.
Where do you see the city of Evans in a few years? And how would you like to see the city grow?
So I would like to see the city do additional infrastructure changes. I do like what we're doing. I think that adds value to the city and an investment. I would like to see the city of Evans attract more business. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there that we can grab. I think that's a very important aspect of it. And lastly, I'd like to make sure that the residents are really happy. They take pride in their city and want to be here and want to grow here and want to do what I've done and spent 25 years here. I think that there's potential, and I'd like to see that come to fruition.
Thank you.
All right, and the last question is, do you have any final questions for the council?
Not at this time, except revenue generated wise. I mean, but that's something for the future that I can easily ask as a resident. So are there any other questions for me or anything that you would like to know a little bit more in depth and in detail?
We still have a few minutes. If there's anything that you want to expand on, you could certainly do on any of the questions that you want to, provide us.
I see a lot of infrastructure changes right now. What's our long-term plan for that? Who's paying for that? Of course we are, but why are we doing that? What value are you seeing? And then what are we doing to retain, and not just retain, because retention is important. I mean, there's a couple cash cows in town that generate tax revenue, but I'm kind of curious what the city's doing nowadays to recruit new business, to move to Evans, and to give the city their tax dollars.
I think one of the biggest pieces that we're really focused on right now is beautification of the town, knowing that it's important for the city to continue to invest in ourselves, so others will want to invest in us as well. Looking at things like last night, we were going through some of the old infrastructure from tractors and trailers and all kinds of things that we had sitting out in a space that was owned by the city, that it just doesn't look great. So getting rid of those things that were older than some of us on council, and ensuring that that area is cleaned up, and just walking through that piece, that's a huge focus that, you know, we did this strategic plan and walking through our goals, and ultimately everything went back to that. We really need to invest in our city and make it a place that people are drawn to. And then beyond that, we continue to look at ways in which we can incentivize businesses, particularly businesses who are here on curb appeal, and how do we help them to succeed, and what sorts of things are we doing to ensure their long-term success? How can we ensure the code supports that? Laura always gives a great example of the Kraut Burger Kitchen, which we all loved, and it moved because of a sign issue, and we never want to see that. So how do we make our codes and policies more favorable to maintaining businesses that are a strong presence within Evans? That's extremely important to all of us.
I think also that just most recently too, we've made some staffing changes, and the biggest thing is hiring this person here as our new city manager, and we've been really, I think, blessed right now in the past 10 months that he's been here to have him really listen to what we would like to see as a community and take those steps into making it more clean, like Ms. Castle said, but also new economic development. A new economic developer is in now, and I think we're just kind of setting the stage to do some of the things that we have envisioned, which of course is, we do need to attract more revenue, or else the city, I think, will be just a little sleepy, degenerated bedroom community. So we're really making those improvements at the lower level right now, and hoping that it generates more businesses and activity here.
I think along to their point as well, the biggest thing, as was mentioned, with the beautification of the city. What attracts a lot of businesses to the community is not only their infrastructures, the way the community looks and presents itself, the schools, and the potential for growth, not only for their families, but for their businesses to be sustainable in the community. One of the things that we've kind of been working on, is doing a lot of infrastructure improvements. As you see on 23rd Avenue, they're doing a lot of sidewalk replacement because a lot of that was cracked and chipped. It may be an inconvenience for some of our residents. I know I've heard a lot of complaints about when's it going to be open, but at the end of the day, it's going to be attractive, and those businesses that are coming through the community are looking to shop and possibly do business in Evans are going to see that we're putting money back into our community to help sustain that growth. We're looking at ways to widen our road. Eventually 37th Street's going to become a 4-lane road all the way from 402 all the way to, Highway 85. And, a lot of that money is coming from grants that we've been getting through the MPO, but also some of our, sales tax, the 1% sales tax revenue is also paying for that as well. But we also have to look at ways to also generate revenue absent the business. So one of the things that we've been talking about and discussing with staff is, one of the things our community has is we have the lowest mill levy in pretty much in Walton County. And we're looking at ways to bring in some more revenue to help continue the beautification of our community, to help economic growth, and to also improve our infrastructure. I think our staff does a great job with helping with business and retention by partnering with the Evans Chamber, going to their business before hours or business after hour events, partnering with them, and they're out there and engaged in the community, trying to see what our local businesses want and how they could help them and how the city helps them. A lot of the businesses in our community don't realize that we have a community business grant that we can offer. It's not a lot of money, but it could help, like storefront improvement, or do something to help improve the aesthetics of their business. And we hope that they take advantage of that. So that we're really trying to find ways to invest in a lot of different ways to help maintain the beautification of our city, sustain our residents, provide them the service they want and attract businesses. So we're looking at, and we have the staff that's in place right now that's actually listening to the council's wants and needs and, putting those efforts forward. And I think as you mentioned earlier and others have mentioned that you're starting to see that happening and that's coming to fruition. It's slowly coming, but it's starting to make it the progress that we've been wanting.
I was just gonna say, I will say, one of the things that, I guess one of my concerns on council, one of the things we continue to look at, kind of with that revenue stream, and you had said, oh, I know we have a couple of large taxpayers, you're right. So that continued retention of business and then the ability to bring in new businesses is really critical, because a concern I have is loss of a major tax generator. And so how do we as a council ensure diversification of those revenues? I think that is something really important to consider as we're building and growing, is are we appropriately assessing risk and diversifying our revenues so that if we did have some changes in businesses, we're still super successful from the sales tax standpoint.
Well, thank you for that. No, it sounds like you're attacking on several fronts. The mill levy I haven't heard of, but I agree with. I mean, especially if it's we're already in a low mill levy realm, a little bit won't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I love the beautification and the curbside appeal. I agree with you. If it's not a beautiful home, no one's going to buy it. But you plant a new tree and you make sure there's a new coat of paint on the house, it's going to fetch more revenue. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to hear that. I would be concerned about the large cash cows disappearing, how you would tactfully retain them without giving them everything. Because everyone wants nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Give me lower tax rates. Well, that's our revenue stream.
Yeah.
So how to build that relationship is interesting, how you develop that.
Yeah, and I think it's building that and then continuing to build all of those other relationships too.
And diversification is important, especially if one of those larger entities did disappear. How do we offset that? Well, it sounds like there's a good plan coming along.
Right.
Well, Jeff, back in 1980, the mayor and the city council discussed Evans and decided that they wanted to remain a bedroom community. Over the years, some of these city councils have actually come in conflict with people that want to come in and do something, to build it, to bring in a new business. And there's actually a rift between the Chamber of Commerce and the city council at one point. Now, this is the youngest city council in my memory, and they're forward-looking, and they're wanting to get things done. Only you got a lot of catch-up. You got over 100 years worth of catch-up to do.
Well, I think one of the key things is, if you were wanting to expand and get new business in, but the consumer, the population base didn't see the improvements in infrastructure, they would just think they're just paying for labor. But seeing the dollars translate into a beautification of a city makes that hurdle easier, not impossible and not completely obsolete, but makes it easier to overcome.
Absolutely.
But you're right, narrow minds and wide streets are sometimes hard to get past, but it's just makes a challenge for navigation.
No, mine's in white streets.
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, I just keep thinking of that meeting in 1980. You were probably there and you have a t-shirt, right?
He was in his tux.
I'm serious. I'm surprised he wasn't here with the truck from 79 last night.
Right.
Just saying.
Anything else? Did you have anything to add to that? No. All right.
Thanks for your time.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I do have to tell
Appreciate
you, I was in Austin recently and I'm at this little dive bar and I turn around and this guy's in a Crabtree shirt and I'm like, what? Well, then I ended up knowing him. He and his wife sold me my house. But it was so cool
That's
to see it
awesome.
out there.
It was really
so
cool.
yeah, it was
Actually really
really,
cool.
really cool. Like awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate
Coming
it.
to the bar that he's trying to like forget.
Exactly. Wait a minute. On the phone.
I need a
I need to wash my hands.
I'm gonna let,
That's all I could
I
think
think we
about.
got a couple minutes anyway, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't see somebody.
Oh, how do I
Oh,
get here? I'll go keep an eye.
Stiff.
straight from work.
5:23, I'll make it there.
Nobody out there. Allergies are so bad. Driving me insane.
Fred starts with 1980, and we're all like, you missed it. For the first few years that he was on council, every time I would say something, you know, back some history that I knew of, he'd be like, well, back in 1970, I was here. And I'm like, oi. Yeah, one up in me. The whole entire time. So finally, I was like, whatever. Dude.
You're ever eat one sandwich between each candidate.
Right? Well, that's what I say, but she's like, I got
I want to have to eat till breakfast.
Hey, they actually taste really good for breakfast.
Oh gosh,
Cody said earlier, like, I think she got like 24 sandwiches. I'm like, oh, 24 Chick-fil-A sandwiches? I could probably do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll be full, but I'm like, I really don't need another one? Yeah, why not?
Well, interestingly enough, during our leadership team meeting this morning, we mentioned that
Right.
leadership team was invited.
We're on a short break.
Hi, are you coming? Okay. All right.
Sure we can't drink through these? I mean, I'm happy to go fetch something if you.
Yes! I do drink still at nighttime.
All in favor? Right?
Jefferson
No
Reserve,
eating, drinking.
Yeah, right?
Jefferson Reserve, 1892 small batch.
That's
That would be great.
I don't care.
oddly specific, Mayor.
No beer, anything but beer. I'll take. Oh no,
Really?
and margaritas. Oh my god, I'd be
Are you,
underneath the table and puking.
Okay, first I'm gonna
Up
say
on the
this,
table,
this is
dance.
all still
No.
going at the so that's,
Puking.
so that's fun.
Now you too.
Like literally everything
Yeah.
we're saying is live streamed right now, so that's good. Are you a
Oh, okay.
bourbon,
You have it
a
a
bourbon
brief break in
aficionado by
progress.
chance?
Uh,
Just,
Kentucky, yes.
Is that where you're from?
No, that's not, but that's where horses are from.
Well,
No,
maybe not all of them.
not all of them. Mine are from Denmark.
Really?
Oh, that's funny. Yes, we needed to like have a mute button here.
I mean, there is.
Thank you for the reminder that
we
we
can-
are
It's
all
mine.
on.
We can mute.
At least I sit a little higher in mine.
Oh, it's so funny.
The mute
I mean,
button
you can,
is like-
you can hit mute
She can
for
get mute
everything.
for everything. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're all,
hang up.
anybody watching on YouTube now
Or
going, well,
Fred
great,
run
what
off
kind
to
of
somewhere?
decisions are being made there.
Later, like when I go.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
that's just.
You'll be hearing that, that'll be
I
a
just
complaint.
didn't wanna look like a pig taking my clothes, but that's gonna be my dinner.
That's fine.
I think she's here.
I know, where's Fred?
Fine, Fred.
What
I need
what
to
does that
set
say? How
mine
many
back.
people would watch this?
No.
It just says concurrent.
Oh, sit
viewers.
back. Did you see where
It
Fred
said
left?
2 before. So.
One of those was me on my phone making sure it worked.
Cody, you're doing this
This
chicken.
chicken.
Fred right now too?
Huh?
What?
Not there, that way probably to hit the washroom.
There he is.
Alright, you guys ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe.
In
In 1980
1980
comes back.
But he didn't want them. So I fixed them and then I told him I won't be home last night. I was like, I'm not gonna be home tonight either. And I was like, I don't think he wants hot dogs or, you know.
Jason went out to eat, so. Oh, no, I just said our chicken pie is gonna be for him.
I'm gonna wait till we're done. You might have to fight with Chris and Mark, so.
I'm missing Bible study tonight. They moved it to Wednesday night instead of Thursday night. And I was like, well, I won't make this one.
Well, thank you so much for being here this evening. I really appreciate your time. Again, my name's Mark Clark. I'm the mayor. We're going to each go around. We have a total of 11 questions to ask you. We're each going to go one by one around the table here and ask you a few questions if you're ready to proceed.
Go ahead.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, the first question is, in 2 minutes or less, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in being on the Evans City Council.
Well, my name is Colleen. I have lived in Evans for coming up on 8 years, and I was a prior deputy sheriff with Weld County. Husband is still a deputy sheriff. He's on patrol and just moved over to strike team. Community has always been a really big passion of mine, being part of the community in any capacity, but I left so that we could have our next kiddo. Wasn't really comfortable doing that, working in the jail and being pregnant during that, so I'm really at a point where I want to get back out and do something, but not quite in that capacity, being kids are still quite young, so this is a really good step forward for me, something I'm really passionate about and would love to give it a shot.
That's great.
So thank you.
Colleen, first of all, thank you for being here. My name is Amanda Castle. I'm the mayor pro tem here. As a council member, you are required to attend a number of meetings and events that occur normally during your personal time. Are you willing and able to make the time commitment and effort it takes to serve as a council member?
I am. We've got mother-in-law living at home, so she babysits when needed and doesn't interfere with current work schedule, so that's perfect.
Hi there, I'm Laura Spear. I'm from Ward 1. And the question I have for you is, how does your background prepare you for serving as a city council member? And what experience do you have involving city government?
So working for the government, obviously that has its own ties, but I will say working in the jail gave me a lot of experience with interpersonal communication skills, written and oral, working with the public directly, people of all different backgrounds. And there's a lot of things that we see that I think can be really impactful by a position on the board. So I'd be really looking forward to changes that I'm able to make and help be a part of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Fred Neal. In your own words, tell us what you think the role of government should be to its residents, and how do you see your role as a city council member should you be selected?
Well, I know that we're part of a very unique position where we can assist with making and changing laws, changing things in the city, things that are necessary, and there's a lot that goes hand in hand with, of course, our Evans PD. For me, I think a lot of that's going to be assisting in several different aspects of investigation to working with our community members, keeping them safe, providing the best city living that we can for them, including keeping certain things out of Evans and being very in line with the values that Evans has consistently had the entire time I've lived here.
Hi there, Tammy Mortensen, Ward 2. I think I know where you live. If I think I've walked my dogs by your house a lot. I think. Just want to throw that out there because I always see the Weld County Sheriff truck, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta behave. You know.
I better put away this Dr. Pepper.
Right.
Strike team now, so he's got the minivan undercover.
Okay. So I now I know.
That's so funny.
Mom van, that's him.
That's it.
I love it.
What are the most important current and future issues facing the city of Evans? And then, do you have any specific issues you would like to address?
Yeah, I think as far as things we're doing well that I'd like to see continue is all marijuana sales staying in Garden City, not coming into Evans. I know that can be a really big push when it comes to the taxes and how beneficial that can be in certain aspects, but in all honesty, I think that belongs where it belongs and stays out of Evans and keeps it clean. The bigger businesses growing, I think that could be a really big benefit for us, especially along 85 where we've got quite a bit of room. And something that has been pretty impactful for us that I would love to see a change in is a little bit more traffic control, such as speed bumps and other things, especially in the school zone. Chapelo and Dos Rios, they don't have a whole lot, and 17th Avenue straight down doesn't have a whole bunch either. We are constantly seeing people run the stop signs right there. A lot of car crashes there. It's just a matter of time before a young one right next to the school gets impacted in a very negative way. So that's a big one that I'd love to work on.
Thank you.
As a mom of Chapelo students, I appreciate that.
That one's
I
been
may
big.
have honked quite loudly at someone the other day. I only felt bad because the crossing guard was there, but somebody blew through while he was in there with kids, and I flipped it.
Yeah, that's not, yeah.
I felt really bad for the crossing guard because I made him jump, but I'm like,
Sorry, it wasn't meant to
We're
hear.
pretty vocal about it too, so
good.
call people out.
Use your horn.
Yeah. What is the one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans?
Oh, I think I've hit the nail on the head with that one previous answer, but keeping the marijuana sales out, I think that's been great that you guys have made a really strong stance on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Colleen, how do you handle conflicts between two opposing viewpoints?
I'm a very patient person. It was one of my better qualities in the jail, listening to other people, dealing with both aspects, and then bringing a bit of compromise and clarity to it, a sound board, if you will, to provide insight that people might not think of and give a solution to the problem versus bickering.
Thank you.
I cannot lie, I love to watch Las Vegas jail.
Oh, yeah,
Me
that's,
too.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
tell, yeah.
Mhm.
That's,
I
yeah.
can see how your calm demeanor would be working
Yeah.
there. Yes.
Yeah, I like
Great
court
show.
TV. I'm all about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Las Vegas, yeah, the
There's a
jail
lot of
shows are
drama,
awesome.
but the calm in the storm works.
Right? That's why my mom scared me. So calm.
Okay, so the council makes decisions concerning liquor licenses, let's see, rezoning and budget issues, to name a few. At times, the decision made may generate controversy or ill will. How do you come to terms with this, and how do you reach a decision that you are comfortable with?
No, I'm a pretty confident person when it comes to deciding what is the best decision overall, that, when we come to a consensus, and if it's the right decision, I stand behind it. It doesn't bother me when people feel negatively about it. I stand my ground pretty well. It's just part of the integrity package with an A-type personality. When it's best, it's best. Thank you.
I'm Fred Neal. Again, how would you handle a relationship with a council member, resident, or staff member that you do not agree or get along with?
I'm a pretty peaceable person. I don't generally like to be the center of conflict. I like to be the resolution for conflict. So if there's an opposing view, there's an agreement to disagree, talk about it, work to a compromise, and that's generally my goal every time.
Where do you see the city of Evans in a few years, and how would you like to see the city grow?
I think part answered before as well along businesses on 85. We've got a lot of potential. We really do. And I think really taking control of some of the lower income apartments, and I know some safe haven aspects of it would really assist as well, but getting more incentive for applying with Evans might be a really good route for that additional feet on the ground, making sure that we're keeping things the way that we would like to see them run, and holding people accountable, even when it comes at a cost. If there's someone who's in a position who's not being a valuable asset to that position, not holding to the standard that they should be, that should be looked at as well and investigated thoroughly.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, that's all the formal questions that we have for you, but the last question that I have is, do you have any final questions for council?
Just in the event selected, what is the term like?
So the way that our council meetings are, so you would be, if you were selected, you would be filling in until the next election, whether that will be in April or November, depending on what on our ballot measure that we have. That's right now. The ballot measure that we have put in front of the voters is to change the terms to every 2 years on even number years. So if it passes in November, then the term would go through until November of 24. Council right now, we meet the first and third Tuesday of each month. There are times where we will have special meetings or retreats, such as today we're having a special meeting. There will be times that we may have a budget retreat or just a general council retreat with staff to, talk about growth strategies and, goals and stuff that we'd like to see for the city going forward. There's also other things that we serve on as council members, and we have different committees, the Heritage Days committees, we have the CPAC committees, we have the Budget and Finance Committee, CPAC. There's various boards that we also sit on as well that you would have the opportunity to sit on that as well. Those usually meet about once a month, and their staffs usually try to be really flexible with the council members' schedules and everything. And sometimes if you can't attend, in person, you may have the opportunity to attend online, or they can backfill you there. Also, how much time you put into it is up to you. We encourage council members to be out there in the community talking to their constituents, attending like the Evans Chamber events, the after hours or the before hours, going to ribbon cuttings, just attending those things that we're out there in the community, engaging not only with just our residents, but our business and everything to help retain and attract businesses in here. So
Great.
It's
Your
really up
families
to you.
as well?
What's that?
Including your families as well?
Yes. So it's really what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. But we really do encourage, maximize your involvement as much as you can.
Okay, that's great. I think that was the only questions I have.
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So tomorrow I will be making phone calls and letting the candidates know either way. So probably expect a phone call tomorrow for me sometime probably before 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So awesome.
And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very
Thank you
nice
for
meeting
coming
you.
in.
Pauline, do you by chance know Patricia Castle? Oh, that's my aunt by marriage. Yeah, that's my aunt.
She was controlled for a long time.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, she knows her. So yeah, she's pretty fantastic. So awesome.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Huh?
We have some good candidates.
Yeah.
I know, do. It's really nice to see.
Can we add more seats?
One of the council meetings I was watching online, I'm trying to remember which one. They had like 11 seats or something. I'm like, holy crap. Hey, could you imagine trying to come to
An agreement with,
decision on some
Aurora and
things?
Denver are, oh my gosh, and they all like,
Have you been watching the Dacono meetings?
oh, yeah.
Get your popcorn. I mean,
Oh
they
my
are
God.
crazy. I'm like,
Boy.
dogs by their house.
That's so funny. Like regular? Was it a routine thing or? Mm. Almost does. Yeah. Right together? Thank you. I'm good. Good girl. That's so funny. That's so funny. Right? Dancing popcorn and hot dog. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, for the Alzheimer's thing. You know, it's legit because it says this is candy. It's like Sammy never bought. That's hilarious. I always like when I get one from our CFO and it's like, Mrs. Chad, I need you to come me and check, blah, blah, blah. And every time I type back, oh, okay. I mean, your office is directly next door to mine, so how about you walk over and help pick up some things? But our, yeah, they're the oh, oh, it's up. Now every time they start, I'm like, that. No, I said, do you know how to address an envelope? No, I genuinely have to give them credit. But they don't, I mean, in their defense, I know how to write exact commercial fingers of this now. I don't need a textbook. But I always have that first thing. It's a big brain. To address things. What? We'll have people from our clients.
It's gonna put you in the hot seat right there. I know we're a little ahead of schedule. I know we're a little. I know we're a little bit ahead of schedule. Sounds good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming this evening. I really appreciate you being here. Um, My name's Mark Clark. I'm the mayor, and how this is going to kind of work is I'm going to start out by asking the first question. We're going to kind of go around the table and each ask you a couple questions. There's 11 in total, and if you're ready to get started, we'll just jump right into it.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. All right, my first question for you is in 2 minutes or less, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in being on the Evans City Council.
All right, so Mike Valdez. I've lived here in Evans for coming up on 4 years now. Live in a house built with Bessler Homes over on Harbor Lane. So married, have a wife and 2 kids. I have a 15 and a 17-year-old. I grew up in Greeley, Evans area. I've lived when we first moved here from California, my dad was originally from Pueblo. We lived over on Denver Street in Evans, and definitely was a little bit more on the rundown side and not super awesome area. So my family was super poor growing up. So I've done everything kind of in my adult life to try and help kind of alleviate that and make sure my kids don't have that as well. I serve on the advisory board for Habitat for Humanity, also on the Family Selections Committee for Habitat for Humanity. And yeah, love outdoors, love Colorado, love hunting, fishing, all the outdoor stuff I can possibly do. I feel like I could be a good help to City of Evans as far as construction and knowledge and stuff on that side. Just want to see Evans grow. It's my kids' future, my future. So.
Great, thank you.
That's awesome. Mr. Valdez, Amanda Castle, Mayor Pro Tem. First of all, thank you for your service at Habitat. My dad ran Habitat for Humanity growing up, so it's always been near and dear to my heart. So that's really cool to hear. As a council member, you are required to attend a number of meetings. You know, we've got meetings the first and third Tuesday of the month, some committees you might sit on, and a number of those meetings and events generally occur during your personal time. Are you willing and able to make the time commitment and effort that it takes to serve on council?
Absolutely, yep. And my other commitments as far as like Habitat are usually on Thursdays, and it's once the second and third Thursday of every month. So.
Hi there, I'm Laura Spear. We met out in the hall from Ward 1. And my question for you is, how does your background prepare you for serving as a city council member? And what experience do you have involving city government?
So city government involvement would be just kind of what I have working with the cities and municipalities. I worked at Richmond American Homes, and I work currently at Bessler Homes. So with Richmond American, I had to do quite a bit with the city governments. So that's kind of my extent there. As far as that goes, so a little bit on the new side with that. But as far as experience-wise, I feel like I could bring a lot to the table and really help on any kind of building, planning, zoning, things like that.
Fred, in your own words, tell us what you think the role of government should be to its residents, and how do you see your role as a city council member should you be selected?
So I think the role should be supporting our residents and helping make Evans better. So whether it's the infrastructure, whether it's the streets, whether it's what we bring in, what grocery stores, gas stations, things like that we can bring in, the school district, all that kind of stuff I feel plays into it. And what was the second part of that question?
How do you see your role as a city council member?
How do I see my role as a city council member? Would be to help find the best interest for the city of Evans and help implement change on that aspect of it.
Sorry. Tammy Mortensen, Ward 2. What are the most important current and future issues facing the city of Evans? This is going to be a your opinion thing, so it's nothing wrong.
All right, so my opinion, as I have, I guess, a couple views on it. So first would be just kind of our appearance in streets. We still have some pretty rough streets, some rough appearance portion of it. We have parts of our city that look fantastic, and then other parts that are still a little bit deteriorating with it. And then I think that second part, just with my involvement with the Habitat for Humanity and kind of what we do at Bessler Homes, is just the affordability portion for families, because it provides that safe environment, knowing that kind of growing up. We lived, like I said, on Denver Street, and then I lived in Hillen Park for a little bit too when we were younger, and both areas were very rough. And just having that safe environment for my kids and my future grandkids and everybody to grow up in.
And then do you have any specific issues you would like to address?
Specific issues would be, I think, the roadways, and then what we can do to help make housing a little bit more affordable here, town specifically. So what we can do to partner with builders, with developers, things like that.
Thank you.
All right, next question. What is the one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans?
One thing I wouldn't change about the city of Evans. Man, with my job, just one thing like I do love is even like the police force and fire department, things like that. They've been super helpful. I've had to use them quite a bit in some projects and stuff we've had here in Evans in the past, and everybody has been super helpful. Everybody here in the town, all the staff, things like that, everything's been super awesome. Yeah, and I love what we're doing with all of our roundabouts and the new design and everything. It makes it feel like a well put together city.
Thank you.
How do you handle conflict between two opposing viewpoints?
Hear out both viewpoints. There's going to be some validity to maybe both sides of the story, and find that middle ground, or something we can come together. Maybe it's something that I don't agree with and we all decide to do it, then you take the disagree and commit method. So once we leave, that's what we're committed to as a group. So
Thank you.
All these long questions. The council makes decisions concerning liquor licenses, rezoning, and budget issues, just to name a few. At times, the decision made may generate controversy or ill will. How do you come to terms with this, and how do you reach a decision that you are comfortable with?
I think it's weighing everything out and taking the greater good of the community with it, and putting like my personal feelings aside with it. And then it's kind of that disagree and commit. So maybe it's something I don't agree on. If it is something that maybe is moral, something I disagree on it with, I will definitely voice my opinion. But then in the end, it's going to be what's best for the city as a whole, and disagree and commit and move on.
How would you handle a relationship with a city, with a council member, resident, or staff member that you do not agree or get along with?
I think you treat them just like you would treat anybody else. You got to treat them respectfully, and you got to respect their opinion. You have your opinion, but you would treat them like you would a neighbor, coworker, anything like that. You're there for the same. You guys have this. We have the same goals and the same, not the same goals, but the same. We're all going for the same thing, trying to move the ship in the same direction. So just trying to work together and be professional about it.
Where do you see the city of Evans in a few years, and how would you like to see the city grow?
I see the city of Evans continuing to grow. I know we are, as Bessler Homes, are trying to build another 1,600 rooftops over there, so it will continue to grow. I'd like to see it grow. I'd like to see some more shopping areas, something like that, other than our Walmart and kind of Sam's Club over on the outskirts over there. But just some more shopping and things to be in Evans and focused on Evans, not necessarily Greeley.
Thank you.
All right, last question is, do you have any questions for us as council? It's okay if you don't.
It was a lot. I didn't think about this.
We're gonna look at you till you come up with
Fair enough, fair enough. I know this doing interviews.
So funny.
And I guess specifically, if you don't mind, like what would be, I guess, each one of your reasons for being on council?
Oh, wow. That's a very loaded question. Well, as somebody, you know, one of the things I've always enjoyed in general is just being a public servant. You know, after high school, I went straight to the military, and that's kind of been my life, you know, the public sector. Even when I got out for a long period of time, you know, I found myself going back to college and jumping in as a probation officer and did that for 8 years, and then decided to go back in the military. So public services has kind of always been something I've always enjoyed, and I really like, you know, serving my community. When we moved here in 2007, I would always think to myself, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, could really be great here in the city. You know, you spoke to it, and as we do as council is, you know, see more economic development, see, you know, some infrastructure improvements, you know, just being a change factor in the community. And when I got the opportunity, you know, to come on council when I was first appointed, you know, I enjoyed it. A little nervous at first, really quiet, didn't kind of try to find my bearings, but as I progressed I really enjoy all of the things that we're doing. I mean, not only from the infrastructure standpoint, but from the economic standpoint to the beautification of the city. It's just great to see that. I don't know how much change that I'm affecting, but it's being done. And, you know, I play a small role in that. I'm one of 7. We have a great staff, and just seeing that come to fruition, it's a great feeling. And that's why I like being and serving. I think it's great. Yeah.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think for me, I had not started on city council. I had started on a committee here in Evans and done that work. I was previously an auditor. Now I'm a finance director for a consulting firm that we work with local governments, metro districts. And so at the time, the finance director had called and asked me to sit. And in that moment, I found such a passion for serving the community because it married my professional knowledge with my desire to serve. I hadn't yet found something. I love my children. I'm not the PTO mom. I'm not good at that stuff. So I was struggling to find like my place. And this felt like a great way to serve the community. But beyond that, what I found was a strong sense of community and an ability to help to instill pride in the community and to work with residents and individuals. And it's been really humbling and awesome to work through this and to see everything that happens and to be, like Mark said, a small part of that is really fantastic. But being able to listen to the residents and try to help invoke positive changes that will lead my children to want to stay here and their children to want to stay here. My husband and I we lived in Highland Park and then bought our first home here. And so we've lived here for 18 years and have just always appreciated the community. Mm-hmm. I'm not old enough for those sentences, but
I have a little different story. So where I live, it's been in the family since 1952. And I had my business in Evans. I grew up in Greeley and graduated from Greeley Central and went to Ames and to UNC. And so I ran my business on the family farm. And in 2013, I was always interested in public service, but got called to action after the flood of 2013 when it was kind of evident that the city at that time wanted to do things to us, not for us. And so I started off on the flood recovery task Force, moved up to Planning Commission, and then I was not appointed. I actually ran for office, albeit unopposed. But anyways, my neighbors decided that since I was going to be the person to step up, that they were very happy with that. So I had a lot of support from the neighborhood. Still have a lot of support from the neighborhood, although a lot of them are older and passing away. So anyways, I just enjoyed learning about the city. I really enjoyed feeling like I was representing my my community. And I've learned a lot, and I've learned things don't always happen really quickly. And I just think that that's, for me, that was the way to step up and represent the, we'll say, east side of the highway.
Well, I've,
Beat 1952.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can you beat 1952?
you were born then.
He's like, I'm going to.
I wasn't born in 79 either.
That's a long-standing
All right,
joke, sorry.
I've been-
Feels like it.
I've moved, had a house built here in 1979. I sit out in the audience here and in the old schoolhouse that used to be where Riverside Library sits, and listen to council after council sit there and say that they couldn't afford it. The citizens, everybody was on a fixed income and they couldn't afford it. But they made no provision to try to fix that problem. They made no plans to try to move the city forward. When Ryan Rudy became mayor, I saw a definite shift. I'd seen a little bit of a shift before that with one of the previous mayors, but I saw a definite shift, and I noticed that this council was the youngest council I'd seen in over 40 years, and they were forward-looking, and they still are forward-looking to try to build and attract growth, which in the past some of the city councils had actually pushed away from Evans, and there was actually a rift between the Chamber of Commerce and the city council at one point. So I'm very happy with the progress that's been made. The changes that have been made with the new city manager have been phenomenal so far. We're starting to see some things changing around, and we're starting to hear from some people that would like to come maybe to Evans and open a new business. And I think that's important because I've been sitting here during these interviews thinking about all the businesses that I know, restaurants in particular, because I eat out a lot, that are gone. And I'd like to see some of those brought back. Of course, Shakey's will never be back.
Shakey's, wow, yeah.
I don't even know what that
But
is.
maybe we can get Taco John's back in here, and a few other good restaurants like Carlson's Hut, and we used to have a good country western bar here. A couple of them.
Yeah.
So,
I love the city of Evans. I've only lived here 12 years, so not as long as some, but I love my city. And what are we all here for? Change. You see the way things could be. And my whole big thing was, I want a grocery store. But I was considering running right around 18, and I came in here and I listened to the talk and everything, but Mark and Sherry, was it, or whoever
Sherry,
I took over for, they were running, and I'm like, they just have more knowledge than I do. They know the city. So I looked at where can I go before city council. So I was on a committee also for the road crew.
Yeah, the road crew. Yeah.
And the first time we had that resolution, it didn't pass, and then the second time the 1 cent tax passed. But that was where I first got to know the people, and that made me feel more comfortable. So when my seat opened up, I was like, I think I'm gonna try it. And I was very shy the first 6 months. I wouldn't second anything, nothing. Now I'll give you my opinion, but I try to keep it straight down the line of, as a professional, I'm not going off emotion. I'm not going off of, I try to keep it that way. But it's like Laura said, you think all this change is just going to happen, and some of it takes time. But like we had someone in here, why hasn't your road expansion gone according to plan? Well, we're held up, by the government with grants, or there's wetlands or other things. So it's good to have an answer for people, because I used to be that person. Why not? And now I'm educated, but I'm also like, we're all looking forward. What can we do to be better? And so that's what I want for the city, is keep improving. You can ask all of them. I have harped on Highway 85 cleanup forever now. But that's part of our city. That's part of what we look like. And if we look tired and old, no one's gonna want to come to tired and old. So,
Hey.
hey,
I resemble that comment.
hey, I'm young and old now, or young and tired. I mean, but you also get, the good thing is you get to meet great people. We've got great staff, and I wouldn't trade any of the knowledge I've got for anything. I mean, it's just, I love my city, period.
So I would say too, I mean, because we've got a lot of candidates, which I'm sure the mayor is going to say something about, but if you aren't chosen, it would be really great for you to be on one of these committees. That, if you're really interested, to be on one of these committees. I mean, it was just learning all the planning and learning what went on with the city. It was so easy to slide into this position and get really motivated. And then there were some people that I worked with that were on a committee for a little bit and decided, yeah, maybe that's a little bit too much for me. So, but anyway, so it's very nice that you asked that question so that we could all give our little stories.
That's great.
Well, thank you for coming out this evening. I really appreciate your time. It was good to chat with you and meet you as well. We do have another interview after yours, and afterwards we'll have a council discussion, and sometime tomorrow, probably about before 5 p.m., I'll be making phone calls to everybody and let them know what our decision was either way. So, all right.
Sounds good.
Great. Well,
Yeah,
thank you,
guys
sir.
for your time.
Appreciate
Really
your time.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Likewise, really appreciate it.
We probably had time for more questions.
Yeah, I know. I'm
We
like,
gave them enough time
I'm
to think
still-
of a question.
Right.
I am honestly still trying to recover from the fact that you said you have a 15 and 17-year-old.
So my kids are adopted, so they were from
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, that's
my wife's
I wanna
previous
drink that
marriage.
water.
So they don't know their
Aw.
biological father. I adopted Colton when he was 5, Ari when she was 7. So
Colton and Ari. Those are
so
cute
my
names.
dad.
Colton, best.
That's awesome.
Well, that's
That
great.
is really fantastic.
Well,
That's great.
That's great.
Oh, I love it.
providing
Been
them
at a
with
grocery store since what, Illini and Eshes?
Yep. Ashes.
Yeah.
That was it.
And I
We'll
hear
get
about
one.
it all
We're
the
still
time
pushing for
now.
one. Yeah, that's all
Now that my
right.
husband works
Illini.
days, he's awake now, and all I hear is, when am I getting my grocery store?
I did like Illini had the sausage, the homemade sausage and stuff.
Yes.
That was
So good.
Yeah.
Well, I go to,
I'm hungry.
now that we've gone to Innovative Foods, that's
Oh,
where
it's so
Mort
good.
loves to go.
It's really good.
Better than
Mhm.
Ashes. But, yeah, I'd still sell for
We will get a grocery store eventually.
Work at that grocery store.
That's so cool.
What do you got?
Oh,
Just kidding.
Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Really
it's nice to
appreciate
meet
it. You as well. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Very
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Everybody good?
I think so.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Quiet.
Good. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much, Tanner, for being here this evening. The way the format's kind of work is, I'm gonna start off with the first question. We're gonna go around the room, each ask you a couple questions, and at the end, we'll give you an opportunity to ask us any questions if you have any.
Okay.
Just real quick, formal introduction. My name is Mark Clark. I'm the mayor, and I start off with the first question if you're ready.
That's fine. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Sounds good. All right, in 2 minutes or less, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in being on the Evans City Council.
I was born and raised in Greeley. I went to Scott School, Heath Middle School, and then I graduated from West. I worked for my dad probably 3 years out of high school, and then started my own company in 2014 with the encouragement from my mom, which was difficult. The first few years were pretty hard, but you learned a lot kind of doing those things that you don't. It's kind of like jumping into a city councilman's position. You don't really kind of know what's going to entail with it, but you take it and you just hope. And I did that I've been doing that for 10 years now, and I'm in business with my brother today. We employ people. I work a lot with contracts with cities specifically, mainly. So I've kind of learned the balance of pleasing customers and pleasing your employees and kind of being on both sides of things. And I've just kind of gotten, I don't want to brag, but you get good at it when you do it for so many years. And I like the management and the improvising and reasoning with people. I just find excitement in it. And I feel like I'm good at it naturally. But for this position specifically, I have no clue if I would truly be good at it because I've done it. But I'm willing, and I like Evans, which is why I moved here. It's quiet. So.
Great, thank you.
I appreciate your honesty and humility there because that's how all of us were. I think when we first started, I don't really know what I'm getting into, but that's commendable for sure. One of the things as a council member is you are required to attend a number of meetings. We have council meetings the first and third Tuesday of every month. We might have events that occur. You might sit on a committee. Those generally occur during your personal time. Are you willing and able to make the commitment to serve on council? Good.
For sure.
Good. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I have a lengthier question.
Go ahead.
And there's actually a typo in this question, so that's why I stumble through this, and I just so frustrating.
Oh, I see it.
Oh, no. I've noticed it from the last few times we've had to do this. So anyway, so how does your background prepare you for serving as a city council member, and what experience do you have involving city government?
So I think the biggest thing is kind of understanding really how to work as a team member amongst you and the city itself, and understanding its needs, and also really understanding the people's needs in the town, but within reason, which is pretty much what I have to do every day at work. And kind of like what I said earlier, I kind of jumped the gun to your question. I feel like in a lot of ways, all I do is kind of put out fires in a sense, and it's very difficult sometimes. I think that would be good for me because I like to think as a business owner, it's kind of hard sometimes, but you always have to be fair. And you have to be fair with the people you work with. You have to be fair with your team. You have to be fair with the people you're working for. And I like to just think that I like to listen to people and their concerns, because if you don't, you just really do find yourself alone at the end of the day. So I like to think of myself as a team player, and I kind of like a group that I can kind of rely on and, kind of help each other and really learn from each other. Because I'm a firm believer where there's more counsel, there is more safety. So I'm comfortable with that, and I like that. So
Perfect.
I don't like power and feeling like I'm the only one in control. I don't like those feelings.
That's great.
And I apologize. I'm Laura Sphere from Ward 1.
Yeah, you're fine.
Did I say that?
Nice to meet you.
I can't remember.
I don't think so.
For repeated
It's
it so many
late.
times. Like,
Sorry
Where
about
am I? Where am I?
repeating myself.
I'm sure you could read.
You're doing great. You're doing great, Tanner.
Okay, I'm Fred Neal. In your own words, tell us what you think the role of government should be in it to its residents. And how do you see your role as a city council member? Should you be selected?
I think the biggest thing is, like I was kind of saying earlier, is being in with reason, listening to the people. And being within reason is really, at the end of the day, is how much does something actually cost and is it feasible? And communicating that well. But I also think sometimes it's hard to always, you can't give everybody what they ask for. And I think that's really what you guys do at the end of the day, is you're finding that balance of people are asking for something. You have to find that reason that's feasible for the city, actually, and at least try to make some people happy. But I understand you can't make everybody happy, which is just the truth at the end of the day. So.
I'm Tammy Mortensen, Ward 2. What are the most important current and future issues facing the city of Evans? And do you have any specific issues you would like to address?
I know in the past a lot of people complained about the roads, but I'm going to be honest, I feel like the city of Evans has done like a really good job with just even 37th and even the crossroad now down there at 37th and 23rd. Just everything in general. I feel like things have been going very well. I've read issues about water leaks before, but I don't know how much that's really an ongoing issue. I try not to get too into something because, like, it's the city's job.
Right.
I'm one of those people. I try to trust that, they're going to do their job because they don't want to hear from the people. And to be honest, I don't really have a complaint about the city of Evans. There's little things that I would love to see in Evans that I don't think it's going to change Evans, but just little stuff with even just like city parks. For instance, just even the fascination of people today with pickleball. You go to any park in Greeley that has a pickleball court, it's packed and everyone's there. And it's kind of fun to see because parks over the years have died in a sense. And it's kind of fun to see them like alive again. It's like an old feeling, really.
We have a pickleball court and nobody's ever there.
Park is it?
It's in Riverside.
Why?
No way.
Nobody. It's funny because I love.
That's a
Riverside.
$13 million park, my friend.
I love that side of town, but it's funny. I never really go over there. And I'm always kind of more over. I'm in Ward 2, and I go to work down 85, and I cut up 34 and go by Garden City every morning. But yeah, it's just little things that I would like to see. And I know Evans has that really nice, homey, quiet feel, which is what I like. And that's kind of funny because that's why I came here, because I was Greeley my whole life. My family's been here since like the late 1800s in Greeley alone, in Barnesville area. And it's funny because when I went to Evans, everyone's like, "Why are you going to Evans?" I was like, "It's quiet."
I had the same thing. I built a house here. I got the same thing.
Yeah, it's like,
Why are you building in Evans?
I love Evans. Everybody always tells me to move back to Greeley, and I'm like, no, I like it. It's quiet. It's nice.
It's true.
So,
Very true.
I'm with you. Thank you.
I really don't have any complaints about the city of Evans. If you ask me about Greeley, I could run my mouth for a while.
That's a good thing. That's not what we normally hear, so yay.
Hilarious.
I got John Gates on speed dial. Okay.
John, listen to this.
He can't control everything. I get
That's funny.
What is the one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans?
I like the quietness, but I would love to see kind of more businesses come this way, because it's funny, if you look at a map of Evans, all like the little business corridors, they're always somehow in Greeley. Sometimes I wish that was just a little over in the city of Evans, because it's great for those things, but I don't want it to grow too fast or have like a kind of an influx of people, I guess you'd say. I want it to be kind of controlled. So.
Great, thank you.
Tanner, how do you handle conflicts between two opposing viewpoints? I'm sure working with your brother then.
They arm wrestle.
We're very verbal with each other. My friend always jokes, he goes, I've never seen two people fight so bad and be like, hey, you want to go get a sandwich 2 minutes later? And be fine. But no, I do pretty well. We're in the service industry, and there's always an issue in the service business. You never hear thank you, you just hear complaints type thing. Whether it's, we don't get them often. Thank God I have very good people that work for me. But there's a lot of like commotion in between people, and I'm very good at kind of putting out the fire quickly. I like to pride myself in that because I don't like conflict. I'm not afraid of it, but I don't like it.
I laugh a little because I have two boys, and that's exactly how they are. They'll be at each other's throats, and then 2 seconds later, they're giggling about something. I'm like, what is happening right now? So.
All right, here's another long question for you. And the blind person gets to read this, so. Okay, so the council makes decisions concerning liquor licenses, rezoning, and budget issues, to name a few. At times, a decision made may generate controversy or ill will. How do you come to terms with this, and how do you reach a decision that you are comfortable with?
When you say ill will, who would it be between?
Well, we have a case where we had to revoke a liquor license, for example, and the applicant or the liquor license proprietors were very upset with us. So we have to kind of come to terms with, making decisions like that, and then how we deal with it personally.
Yeah.
It can be an issue too. I mean, some people don't like to be in that situation.
Right.
So anyway, so my question to you is, are you pretty much okay with making those decisions, and how would you deal with it?
Yeah, I would be within reason of if I had like a case by case and knew what was going on and as to why, it'd be easier for me to give like a loaded answer. But I wouldn't be afraid of that situation, and I understand why that could almost make you feel like you almost kind of become like a public enemy to the people and then start talking, and because I know that's an issue constantly with any government when people start talking. But I like to think that I would I myself can keep my cool and my countenance and try to wash under the bridge with those people. But I can't say I've ever been in that position, so it's very hard for me to say that I would know exactly how it would go. So,
just for your honesty, thank you.
It's never very comfortable.
Yeah.
How would you handle a relationship with a council member, resident, or staff member that you do not agree or get along with?
I think I'd be fine. On disagreements on, is it usually, let me ask this question, is it usually on like a decision the city wants to make, or just a disagreement on how, when those situations come up?
Maybe like, I'll speak from a professional standpoint. I am a consultant, so I might have a client that is more abrasive and harsh. Maybe not somebody I would have in my personal life. Right. But from a professional side, I need to be able to be dynamic and work with them. It's more situations like that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I deal with extremely difficult people every day.
You have children? No.
I don't have kids yet, but
we can get you some.
I got married.
There's normally one or the other for sale.
Congratulations. You're a newbie.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so that's really the situation is.
Yeah, no,
like
I'm fine.
Where do you see the city of Evans in a few years, and how would you like to see the city grow?
I would like to see it where it is still. I'm sure within the plans of the city, you already have ideas and things that you're wanting to do, and I'll be very truthful. I don't actively look into those things and what the city's wanting to do. From my perspective, I feel like the city of Evans has always been pretty conservative with money in general, and I very much appreciate that. I don't like a lot of change fast, or I like to know that if I was a city councilman, and I would want to know what are really the people happy in the town with what you're doing. Like, I know when you redid 37th, it just made everybody on cloud nine because it was a very bumpy road. And it just gets hit hard. It's like a corridor. It's not just for Evans.
Right.
You know, that road was hit by everyone, and trucks coming off, and you know, I've just been happy with everything. So.
Thank you.
Last question we have for you is, do you have any questions for us?
I didn't think of that.
If you don't have any, I mean, you know,
Perfectly
it's
fine.
perfectly
But
fine.
what I'd like to see is everybody here gets along, and it seems like you're having a good time, and I like that.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time we get along.
I
I
think
mean,
Clearly, there's disagreements, but
I think at the end of the day, no matter what, if we sometimes agree to disagree, I think that at the end of the day, it's like, what's in the best interest for the city going forward? I mean,
Right.
I've not had any issues with anybody on council that I've been, as long as I've been here. We may have our disagreements, but once we step outside the door,
There's healthy conflict
Yeah.
for sure.
no, that's amazing. No, I was telling my cousin the other day, he's much younger, and he graduated from mines, and I told him, I said, when you go into the working field, because he got his first engineering job, I said, the best thing to find is just a group of people you like, and no, you're never going to agree with them on everything, but it's just an enjoyment, and I do think that helps a lot. But the biggest thing is like, I would want to be a benefit to this group and to the city and to the people. I don't want to be this person with ideas, my ideas. I really want it to be like a group thing together. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and
I
that's,
don't know everything. I don't know much.
that's kind of how we are. I mean, we all
That's
have
fantastic.
our ideas and our opinions,
Specialties, too.
specialties, that we bring to the table. Each of us have what, speak for our constituents in our wards. But at the end of the day, we all are just looking out what's for the best interest of Evans. We may disagree, we may have a little conflict, but that only stays here. When we walk out that door,
That's amazing.
I don't hold it against you because I disagreed with you on this, or hey, we did the business for the city. Now,
And I think every disagreement is just the passion of
Yeah.
where we live and what we want to do for the city. So, and our personal experiences always have to play into that too. So that's when we do have disagreements. That's where it's at. It's never personal.
Right.
Yeah, never.
If you don't mind me asking, what do you four do then? Do you work with the city, or you do something else outside the city?
So
I'm
no,
just curious
we
where
have
everybody's walks of lives are.
we have a council manager relationship. So each of us in council, for me, my outside job, that pays my bills is the military.
Nice.
And each of them have so our city manager, Cody, back here, he is hired by the council, and he puts forth the priorities and the goals that are set forth by the council, and he runs, and him and his staff run the day-to-day operations of the city.
Yep.
Yeah, but my job outside of here is the Air Force.
Nice.
I juggle children, and I work full-time as a finance director for a consulting firm. So,
Very nice.
and it's funny that you say that about loving who you work with, because I was an auditor before and I really liked that, but I love my job. I've been there a long, long time. But because of that, so it's fantastic.
I used to be a coder at the hospital at Benner, but that was 20 years ago. But I manage our family farm, and I used to
Awesome.
actually a horse trainer too.
Really? What horses?
I have dressage horses. I used to ride with Olympic people and
That's neat.
at that level until the flood, and then kind of changed direction. So here I am. just managing the farm, putting up hay. If you want to come work out, let me know.
My grandpa would love that. He's a horse guy.
That's awesome.
Well, I retired at 52. I worked at Montford for 13 and a half years and worked for CDOT and a bunch of other companies in between. And I'm the one that sometimes, I guess, gets impatient with the lack of progress. So
Yeah.
it's been past people, councils that haven't, that want to remain a bedroom community and actually had a rift between the city council and the Chamber of Commerce over businesses.
Yeah.
Getting new businesses in here.
Yeah.
So that's part of the history of the problems. And past couple of councils, a couple of mayors have worked to get things done and change the direction. And this is the youngest city council that I've known. And they're forward looking. They hired a city manager that is open to change the direction towards that goal.
Good.
I'm just a property manager.
She's just a.
She's a rock star,
She's a
so.
rock star, yeah, she's just a property.
But I live and work in town, so I'm one of the lucky ones that has like a 1.5 mile commute to work.
Zero commute.
I know,
like
yeah,
really
you have zero,
nothing.
but,
Zero vacation too.
and my,
And I just noticed she doesn't have any bling on today.
Mm-hmm.
I got gold
I
shoes.
can't believe
She's got gold shoes, yeah.
Yeah, and they have a little ladybug on them.
Yeah, no, all of us, bring in, a unique perspective.
I like that.
Oh.
I like that.
Yeah,
really great.
finance, business,
People.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I like that. I that was my biggest thought is what is everyone's backgrounds and kind of how does it play a part? That's neat to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's a benefit of the council form of government is that we are residents in this community. We're speaking for the community. We're directing the city manager on things we're hearing within the community and what is important to the constituents that we represent. So it's really important. Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, you were our last interview for this evening. We're gonna have some discussions here afterwards, and then tomorrow by 5 o'clock, I will make a phone call to each of the candidates and let you know what our decision was.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
You too.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. You too.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thank you. You know, you and I've been on this for quite some time, and we used to have these interviews privately, and I feel like we had more openness to discuss things than having this publicly.
I think we were told we kind of had to have it publicly, so that's why it was changed where it wasn't so privately. Because I know when we first had Scott's like, it's not an executive session matter that you can have. You kind of it's an open.
So it's just interesting how
Right.
things have morphed, from where it was where we had this privately and we could talk about, like Amanda,
Mhm.
when we had quite a discussion
Right?
about,
That's true.
Right.
about Amanda, because we had Amanda and we had, another
Sarah.
candidate that we were back and forth on.
Right.
And so for us to not be able to say the positive and maybe the negative openly,
Well, I
think.
don't see why
mean,
we still
I
can't.
wouldn't.
We're
I wouldn't
still-
want to be.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I don't see why we still can't. I mean, at the end of the day, we can discuss the pros and cons with each candidate. We could still do that in an open forum, but I think, unfortunately, just from the direction of this city attorney, from those private, he's like,
Yeah.
technically you shouldn't have been doing this. This is how it's supposed to
Well,
be.
he was here though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the point.
I don't know.
That's why I
but
want to
yeah,
know why
he-
it, why it morphed.
I can
Well, I
have it.
think more has been brought
Yeah.
up with
Open
open
book,
meetings.
open
and
meetings
Yeah,
and stuff.
because we
Yeah.
go through the same
So
thing,
it-
so.
Right.
Yeah.
They've been made aware that certain things were happening that really shouldn't. happen.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Like behind closed doors, we were like, oh, well, whatever. We already had it all picked
Interview
out.
was
Right.
closed door.
Yeah, like
So-
this.
Anyway,
Maybe, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are, but maybe we see if, I wonder how much we're on the same page, so if we like,
well, that's
Went
actually,
through and-
that's exactly what
Can
I
we
was
just
gonna
take a
say.
I want
second
still
so
your-
I can
yeah,
put
grab
mine
it,
in
grab it.
order for just a second
Yeah,
here?
absolutely.
that's exactly what I did, I'm like, I'm gonna put
Because
mine in
I
order.
have kind
That's
of a,
exactly what I was thinking.
I tried to put them in order as we were doing it, but I
Yeah,
got
you're fine.
sidetracked.
Yeah, I
by-
know, it gets so,
like,
and then I get to a point where I'm
conversation.
like, I don't know.
I know some of
then.
those I was sitting there going,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yes,
oh, and there's a couple of them like I didn't even get to finish filling it all out because. Oh, okay.
Okay. Then I've got like a tie for second.
yeah, that's where I stand, I'm like,
And then, I mean,
Maybe
and
we all just
everybody, I
have
have
the
to say,
same first.
everybody was really,
That's why I said everybody. We had some really good. I was impressed with all the six of them. But
really
you know,
good.
if everybody's ready, was there any couple of individuals that really stood out to majority of the council that we want to really dive in and take a look at, or do we want to discuss them each?
Well, for me, Jeff Crabtree, and then it was a tie between, pretty much between everybody else, because everybody to me interviewed, but there were things and questions that. So.
How about for you, Amanda?
my first was also Jeff, and then I also liked Michael Valdez. But Jeff's my number one. I'm kind of like Tammy though, that there's
Okay, so,
Right.
pros
Or
to
actually,
all
sorry,
of
Laura.
them.
Sorry.
well, Jeff was not my top pick.
Okay.
He was very good, but, I think Brett from our, water board was my top pick.
He's good too.
And then, maybe, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of a tie for the next.
Fred?
But,
They're all really good.
Well, there was nobody in this group that I would definitely just throw out automatically.
I agree.
Okay.
Right.
So that's kind of a first, I think, for interviews.
Mhm.
I like this last guy, and I like Colleen, and all the rest of them, pretty much all of them rated about the same.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a tough one, I think, for sorting it out.
So-
I had Jeff followed by Brett Bloom.
That was me too.
That's where I like him. My concern with Michael is his ties to Bezeler Homes.
That is a concern that I wrote down.
That was a big concern, especially, with everything that we have going on building wise there. I know he might have to recuse himself on a lot of stuff as we go through the building process with them, and how much influence that he may have on other, home developers coming in the community, and that will cause some conflicts with him. That would be my biggest concern with him is, say, if, I don't know, any home developer outside of Bezeler came into Evans, would he be able to put the Bezeler and him aside and say, I'm not working for Bezeler Homes today, I'm, working as a council member, because those two coexist. That would be my big concern, especially with all the development that we're talking that we still have. Who knows what's going on with the Peakview Solstice project and, some other developers looking at it. that may cause conflicts where he would have to recuse himself probably because he works for a home competitor.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying. I think Tammy and I are in the same spot though sometimes, that our jobs could be in competition of things, and it's a matter of recusing yourself. I think as a builder though, he may also bring a really unique perspective that allows us to understand what's really important to the community and what that really looks like. I think he has a strong sense of professionalism, so I would think he could do a really good job balancing that. I think you're right. The challenge would become how often would the recusal need to happen and what does that look like? But everybody was really good, so it's very difficult.
So one of my concerns with Jeff is he showed up in shorts. And so that kind of got me off on the wrong foot right away. But I'm also wondering, just based on what he had in a lot of his comments, if he's going to be very frustrated with not getting a lot of things done because, it does move really slow. As far as getting, he's talking about tax revenue and getting businesses and everything. And we've been on this for quite some time, and we know how things are slow, but
Well, I think when we all came on here, I mean, I was the first to come in. I'm sure when I came in here, man, I'm going to come here and we're going to lay this smack down. We're going to get this business in here. We're going to go, and then, oh, wait, there's codes we have to follow. There's this we have to follow. Oh, it doesn't work like that, and then you get a different sense of perspective. So, and it took me a while. I mean, I'm still sometimes frustrated with things that happened back, about all these promises that were made that have.
I voice it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I drive by that fence on
so I know the
23rd, and I
frustration
get
is what I'm saying.
irritated
Because
every
I was
time.
I mean, I
Fully
still
agree.
get
still frustrated.
Right.
She got a nice fence out of that, I
But
just gotta say.
at the same time, I think that's just something that you learn
That
once
lady
you
off
get into the
23rd.
intertwines of actually how the government works. I mean, even working
That
with
was
the
one of
military in that
the deals
aspect,
they did before we got here.
I always joke when things don't go right. Oh, this must be a government operation. Oh, wait, you mean I can't get a new computer or my computer fixed because, oh, you're not in until this time, or there's not enough money. So you're telling me I got to go buy a plug for my computer? I get the frustrations, but I think as you get your feet wet under council and you start understanding the processes, I think you'll go, oh, it's not as easy as I thought.
And the thing with the dress, I understand where you're coming from with shorts, but not everybody. Let me just say this, for interviews, not everybody was dressed as I would prefer them to be dressed for an interview.
Oh, I understand that, but for me, this is
because,
a professional
but
thing.
what about the jeans and the flannel shirt? What about the jeans and the rolled up flannel shirt? And, I'm old school. I don't care that people have them, but if some things are showing, I mean, you could say there's a lot of different things. So the shorts for me is like
It took me till this year to be okay with me wearing jeans to this. I mean, I
Well-
always had slacks on and I always had that.
well,
And I
come
can't
from
force
work.
that on someone else, but on the same token, when you're going to an interview
Right, you
and
make
you're a
that
certain
effort.
age, I mean, he's not 18 years old.
Right.
But if he came from work and that's how he dresses for work,
Yep.
that
Well, and
I don't want to focus
city
on the
council
dress.
is a resident seat. It is a volunteer seat, and your I know it's an elected seat, but representing the people, to me, that's a little bit different, right? Like, what does that representation look like? So I don't know.
One thing that I think Jeff would really thrive at is, as being a business owner that a lot of us frequent, residents of Evans, and a lot of people frequent his business, he's going to be able to really start having more of those conversations with other prospective businesses and other you know, people that come through his establishment. And not only now, I'm Jeff, the owner of brewer of Crabtree, but I'm also a council member, and he can have conversations with people at those bars, you know, having a beer. Hey, let me tell you about the good thing that's going on in Evans and what we can do to help you. I think he will also be able to speak very comfortably with that, you know, in both roles as a business owner and as a council member with all the people he sees on a daily basis.
So as far as that, that's one reason why I actually put Brett ahead of them, is because he has been on the water board. And if we're dealing with water issues, that's one less person we have to get caught up with the water issues. You know, and the wastewater treatment. I mean, he's really familiar with that. And that kind of sometimes has a big learning curve with getting on board with. So that's why I had put him first, was because that's something.
I mean, that is a very big issue, and I think a lot of us still struggle with it too. I mean, even for some of us have been on council for a while, that's a difference. Water is a whole different ballgame, and when Scott talks about it sometimes with water law and all this other stuff, even I go, "Can you put that in English?" But I can understand that. I mean, it's, you know.
And then with Mark, although I said that he's soft-spoken, really soft-spoken, being involved with the PD on that token, he was really knowledgeable about what's happening with the police department. He was not my top choice, but along the same lines of being in that. So,
yeah, and I think one of the benefits to Brett or Mark is that they have shown dedication to the community. Not that Jeff hasn't, but it is nice when you see somebody that's been on a committee that's been doing those things, that has invested, that does have I have some appreciation for that. I'm torn because I really liked Mark too. He was one of my top choices, but Mark and Brett bring kind of that experience. Brett then has added experience with a depth of knowledge of local government and how that works. I think he has a depth of knowledge on the sewer infrastructure and those sorts of pieces. I think Jeff has, he has a strong commanding presence, which I think is good from like you said, from a community standpoint, to be able to pull people in and really gauge opinions. He seems passionate and hungry, which is good.
For me, Mark was a no, and I'll tell you why. I love his experience. I love what all he does, but there were certain answers that I just, I don't know how to say this right. I felt like they were addressed already, but anyway, I'll keep my mouth shut. But what he said, and I wrote it down on number 10, don't push for estates. He wrote that, and I'm sitting here thinking, we just talked about this last night.
Yes.
And we're not saying estates as in $1 million homes. We're at least saying, like Amanda and I said, even if it's a smaller house, you have a big piece of land, you feel like you can breathe. And when he said, don't push for estates, I was like, and that for me puts him in my no column.
Well,
That's the big one for me.
I just want to say, and I'm sorry, this will probably be some offensive, but I do know, I mean, the appearance of having Jeff come in when I know he's a personal friend of, sorry, Mark, but you guys, I mean, for me, that's also kind of a no for me, is the fact that there's a personal connection there, and I don't want to have the appearance of favoritism because of that.
And it is a vote, so I think that helps that point, right? And connections can create that desire. I think he's had a desire to get involved at some point for
Yeah.
a
He
while,
was on the-
right?
Yeah, he
Um,
has.
Yeah, the Economic Advisory Committee.
That was way back, so
Right.
that's a long history. Yep.
Sure. So not to take over,
No.
a tier maybe between Jeff and Brett. Is that kind of where we stand right now? Is anybody really strong about anybody else?
No,
I just self
Tanner interviewed great, but
Oh, I liked him.
what
him.
held me back a little bit, I do love his honesty, but it was controlled growth. He likes the quietness, which, yes, I agree, but if we get those businesses that we need, that's gonna change it a bit. And then he said he doesn't actively sit and watch what's going on. He doesn't like change. And that's what I wrote as he was saying it. And, you know, the people are happy, which for the most part, yes. But I would almost feel a little held back. Not that we're bursting at the seams here economically, but I don't know where, you know, if he'd be as open to as much change. But I really did like his personality and his honesty.
Yeah, and I would love to see how we can get him involved because he is
Yes.
a young community member who clearly has a desire to serve. And I kind of got what he was saying because at one point he said, you know, I would want to see businesses. When he said I want it to stay quiet, but I do want growth, I get what he's saying because I think that's kind of the appeal for all of us, right? I love the familial atmosphere of the city of Evans. It's what keeps us here is that, oh my gosh, there's nothing better than every night I come home and all the kids are on the street playing. And it really is that small family atmosphere. So I totally get that. Doesn't mean I don't want businesses to come. But I think for him, I would love to encourage him to get involved in other ways. For sure.
So I want to say something on the point that you brought up about Jeff. Yes, I am friends with Jeff. I've known Jeff for quite a few years. However, that does not dissuade me from having any favoritism. My job, regardless of him being a friend, is first and foremost to put the city of Evans first. Whether he's on council or not, I will always do what's in the best interest of the city of Evans. He will not ever get any special treatment from me because he's a friend of mine if he's on council. He will be treated just like everybody else, given the same opportunities and all that stuff. This is a professional environment when we are on council, and that's when we are doing the city's business. That's when my friendship with him or anybody at this even table is not on the table. Because I'm here to do the business of the city of Evans. I mean, I've gone out and had a couple drinks with you and Warren. I've gone out with you, but that I don't treat you guys any different when we're on the dice. We're here to do the business of the city.
Mm-hmm.
So I know how to separate that from personal and professional, just like I do every day at work. I have coworkers at work that I associate with outside of work, but when I need to put on the boss hat, I'm the boss. And if I have to write you up, I'm not writing you up as your friend. I'm writing you up as your boss. Once we leave out that room, hey, there's my boss hat's off. We'll go out and have a beer. It's behind us. Let's not discuss it. We move on. I am professional in that matter. I will never let any of my personal friendships with anybody ever get in the way with my business.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about getting on the council.
Right.
That was the thing, because yeah.
I will be
That's where we
in
go.
perfect transparent. When he got the notification in the mail about the cards that went out, he asked me, he goes, Mark, do you think I should apply for council? And I said, sure. Anybody that lives in Ward 2 can apply for council. If that's something that you're interested into, you'll come into an interview and you'll be asked questions, and the majority of the council will speak. And if you get selected, you get selected. And if you don't, and he was like, okay. And he didn't ask me if any other, he's like, do you think I should apply? Hey, if you want to. You live in that ward. You have the right just like everybody else to. I even joked with Maria, I'm like, you should put your name in. You know, and I even joked with my son. I'm like, well, now that you're over 18, you can put your name in. But again, I'm not going to dissuade anybody, whether that's, you know, they're my friend or not. You have the same opportunity as anybody else. So I just wanted to put that on the record if anybody.
That's
just,
fine.
Appreciate it.
Well, I just wanted to get it out there for the record too.
Sure.
So, I just, really quickly, I want to say shout out to Colleen. I mean, I'm with her on the no pot shop,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm fine with that.
No, that was
We all
great.
know I'm not, so.
I know, you had, Amanda was off.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
She's
sorry.
like, oh, but I just want to let you know, I just really enjoyed her.
No
I did.
liquor stores,
And
maybe,
I
no
enjoyed
bars,
her
sure.
and everything. She's
Pot
not
shops,
my
yep.
top pick, but if it were, I just need to let her know. I'm fighting for you, woman. I love it.
So do we want to take a vote? And I'll start with you, Tammy. Start at your end.
Don't start with me. No, I'm between Brett and Jeff. That's what I'm looking at right now. And I did like Michael too. I think we should get him involved with some stuff. But
I think he'd be great on the planning commission.
I was just thinking that,
yeah, he would be awesome.
His depth of knowledge would be
Oh, yeah,
valuable for
he'll
sure.
knock it out of the park on the planning commission.
He's very, very nice.
He was engaged.
Let me look these over again.
Super engaging.
That has a lot to do with it.
Okay, Fred,
You can come back.
do you want me to come back?
Well, I am, concerned about Michael with his connection with Bessler, that it might interfere with a lot of things. But, you know, people have their job, and they deserve a chance to get on council too, but, I think, we've kind of narrowed it down to Jeff and Brett, and I'm gonna say Brett, I guess.
Okay,
Tammy, did you say one or no?
No, I wanted to look this over again.
So, tough overall choice.
okay,
I'm with Brett.
okay. Okay,
I am gonna go with Jeff. I think for me, he had a really strong presence, which I appreciated, and I think I do think that his experience as an entrepreneur and a business owner would serve well. And how do we draw people in? How do we get a Crabtree in, over on this side? Like,
So why is
there's
Crabtree not here?
right, but that's a great thing to ask on, like, what can we do for those things? I think that helps. I know there's this for the record stuff. I do want to say, I think Mark has incredible integrity, and I don't ever think there would be anything that would sway him in making a decision that's in the best interest of council. So, sorry, just want to say that. My vote's for Jeff.
No, seriously, their answers
both
are
very good.
so similar.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would want pot here.
Oh, dang
so
it.
here, let me,
Are you reconsidering now?
so, I really like Brett.
That's the
He
bad
brings
thing.
a really great wealth of knowledge to the city. He, especially as you mentioned, the water and sewer issues, especially all the things that we have going on with that. I also like the fact that Jeff, kind of like us, is forward thinking and wanting to keep the city moving forward. I think as you've pointed out before, this is one of the youngest councils that we've had. And I think a lot of you, as you said, has contributed to having people on council that are forward thinking. I think he as a business owner is still forward thinking, obviously, because he's continued to grow his business. He brings a lot of that depth and knowledge to the table. Brett also brings a lot of depth and knowledge to the community and other levels, such as water and sewer. He's been a town manager. He's been an assistant town manager. He's held various roles in the towns. I think they would both be really good. It's just really good. But I don't know. I think as we continue to move forward, let me think about this a little bit more.
I will say one of the things I did appreciate, I think Brett has an incredible amount of experience. One of the kind of things that Jeff said that was different than others in some points was, in your own words, tell us what you think about the role of government, or what you think the role of government should be to residents, and how do you see your role? Brett clearly has a depth of knowledge as to how government works, because he rattled off exactly how it does work. But Jeff said what I always value as an individual, which is we're guiding the wagon. We're the voice for the residents. And while Jeff may not have that local government prowess, we didn't either, but I do really like that. I value that a lot, and he seems like somebody who's personable with the neighbors.
And I think also too, if we're to continue to move the city forward, not that I don't think Brett can do it. I think Jeff will be that strong voice out in the community that will be that strong presence to really draw people in. And I'm not saying that Brett can't do that. I just think Jeff's aura, he has a bigger aura, which just draws people to him naturally. And I think that's what also makes him a successful businessman.
Oh, I totally like him.
But Brett also has the experience, but it's a tough call. Tammy, what do you?
I'm the question Amanda just mentioned, I'm looking at their answers. And I had written for Jeff, manage loosely, with governing the city. He said we want to, of course, everybody be happy with the budget, retaining businesses, and people being happy in their roles. I'm assuming he meant city staff. I could be wrong. Or the role to the average consumer, voice for the people. We make sure it's running smoothly and they come to us for complaints. But then Brett set out policies for the city government, direction to the city manager, pass resolutions, budget, ensure we meet requirements set in legislature. They're side by side on everything I wrote for them, and that's where I'm having a tough time because, again, Brett has all that experience, but, and it may not be as much now. One of the things that was mentioned for Mike was Basler Homes. Well, right here on his first question for Brett, I wrote down land developer for Weld County.
Yep, he did say
So how is that not an issue too? Not that that's what dissuaded, or, led us in our choosing for Mike and them.
For Garden
But
City.
that could be also a bone of contention. Jeff having a business in Greeley could be, you could say that's a little bone, but see, it's what I'm saying is I'm trying to think in my head where I can differentiate.
So, here's my thing on this. It's great that you know how a city government functions and you know the roles of the council, the manager. That's great. There's a lot of average everyday citizens that don't know the basics form of government. that's great that you could be able to tell you this is how a council manager relationship works. This is how the staff interacts. This is how the city manager interacts. And this is how council interacts. That's a great answer. But what is your passion? Are you passionate about the people? Are you passionate about listening to your constituents? Or you can just recite us, well, yeah, the council manager role of government is X, Y, and Z, and this is how it's supposed to work.
Here's
Great.
here's a question I found that's different for them both. Finally, it takes me a minute. I got to read through things. Sorry. Number 6. What is one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans? Brett, good department heads right now. Okay, I agree with that. But Jeff's answer, identity, family feel, safe, infrastructure of service, cleanup, shredding, knowing people, providing the needs of the people. That was his answer, was identity. And I totally get Brett's, but the identity is what's swaying me right now.
What was the question?
What is one thing you wouldn't change about the city of Evans right now? And with identity, Jeff was naming the family feel, the safe, feeling safe, the infrastructure of service, the services we offer, cleanup, shredding, knowing the people around you, and the city supplying the needs of the people. So just overall identity, and Brett's was good department heads, which is, I agree, but
One thing that gave me a little bit of consternation, I will say, about Brett's answer there was, in knowing local government, you should be proud of Cody and the city manager and the attorney knowing and invoking trust that they will ensure the right people are in seat, knowing that they wouldn't favor changes in the team. We've seen firsthand this year that sometimes things you don't think need to happen are actually things that do need to happen.
right.
So that was one point that I kind of thought, well, I appreciate that you value our staff. We all value our staff, but you also have to, from council perspective, you have to have total confidence and trust in the city manager form of government, knowing that we need to empower the city manager to make choices that are in the best interest of our community.
See, and I didn't even think of that because I was looking at the good department heads right now. And that's what I wrote, right now. And so I was thinking, does he mean after all the changes or, but I didn't even think of the past. And we did have a manager, and I'm sorry, I'll say it. We had a manager that trusted in people that he shouldn't have. And, so I didn't even think of that angle. Thank you. So for me, it's Jeff.
Mark, is
No,
it
no,
a
sorry,
tiebreaker?
Frank, go ahead.
I had the exact same thing for Jeff written down on number 6.
Is this for Brett or for Jeff?
Jeff.
He said
Okay,
Jeff.
sorry.
Safe family feel.
Okay.
I do like.
That's your 3-2. There you go.
Okay.
I do think
Okay.
it's pretty cool that Jeff has lived in Evans for so long too. That's really.
Jeff what?
Has
All
lived
right.
in Evans for so long.
Well, we got our 3-2.
Oh, yeah, I used to know his neighbors.
But they were all
They
seriously
were all phenomenal.
really good.
So-
This has been the best
We've had to
that
do
I've
this
been
so many
involved.
times, and this is like,
They were really great.
You only had one the year I did it.
I know.
A lot.
I don't know.
They only had one good
Yeah.
interview the year I was
We
there.
had
you know.
two.
That's it.
One person.
Save the watch. It's getting deep,
Yes, and
you
take
know.
the D out of
So-
experience.
Sarah and
It's a
So-
hard decision
If-
because you
so-
don't know if you're making the right.
One,
Knock on wood, this doesn't
2,
happen anytime soon.
3.
If
4.
anybody has any suggestions, if this ever happens again, knock on wood, it doesn't, please let me know what your thoughts are in the format of this.
I think
If we need to change it,
We need to
Some
Like, I put
questions
1
can
and 3 are the same
So-
question.
And you guys always know with me, if
Yeah.
you have, like, you something you don't like, reach out to me. You know, I'm pretty good at saying, okay, hey, if you don't like that question, what do you want to replace it with? Let's get it
7 and
replaced.
9 are the same too.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, let me know this. That way I can tell staff and say, hey, instead of recycling the forms that we're using, from we've done over and over again, let's change up the format to help.
And, yeah,
Mhm.
that's great. I mean, because some of them too, I mean, like, how do you deal with conflict? I'm like,
Or the
Everybody
one-
says the same
Are you
thing.
are you willing to
Are you-
commit the time, make the
Yeah.
time commitment? Yep.
Yep.
Who, is anybody gonna be
Okay.
like,
I know.
well, actually?
Well, you know,
Yeah.
well,
I know, like you get that question and then you get the, here, I'm gonna read you a book.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna formally adjourn the meeting, if everybody's good.
oh wait, are we done?
Yes.
Oh,
meeting.
Everyone.
Yes.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you for everybody.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, turn it off.
Thank you. And please make sure you blur out my ugly face there, because I'm sure it probably broke the camera twice.
Oh my lord.
I wanted to